All right. I guess we're gonna try this one more time. I have no idea. That really annoyed me. That Streamyard, not Streamyard. That really annoyed me that Riverside decided not to give me my chat. I want to engage with my chat. I don't want to be like having to look over and see where the chat is. I want to highlight the chat. I want people to be involved. This sucks. This sucks so bad. All right. Let's see if I can add people. I'm going to invite some people to the studio if possible. Oh my gosh, that's really annoying. This is a great persuasion. That's a great persuasion to leave Riverside if they don't get their act together, because that's really bothersome. All right, let's do this. Let's share a screen. Oh, let's do that. That's what I want to do. Get them back. Okay, so we're going to try this one more time.
At the beginning of the process, the painter is painting a landscape with a landscape in mind. Well, the universe begins, the singularity happens, but the singularity isn't conscious, nor does it have us in mind. We are certainly a result, but we weren't a planned result. And so in that way, I also take issue with your premise.
Well, if you want to throw away the word creation and then just break it down further, again, we can say that my claim is that the universe had to have been brought into existence.
It began. I don't know
how it began. I guess we're playing semantics.
No, I think language does matter. I mean, this is how we describe the world that we live in as best we can. But I don't know what happened at the moment of the singularity, and neither do you, and neither does Owen, and neither does anybody within the sound of our voice. So something happened is about all we got. Isn't that fair?
Well, again, we're the three of us here. It sounds like the three of us on this call right now agree that the universe began. You know, the most widely accepted cosmological view is that 13.8 billion years ago, the universe had a beginning. We all can work from that premise, correct?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll give you that.
Okay. So again, if something material had a beginning.
Yeah, no. We're talking about the same stuff you mentioned before. I'm just simply saying you don't know how it began, and neither do I. And nothing about a beginning
but that's not
implies.
Well, that's an assertion. Like, it's possible to know how it began, right? If God tells you how it began, that would be the thing in question.
My claim is not about how it began.
Nothing about a beginning requires an agent. There could have been something before. There could have been any number of things that you and I can begin to comprehend.
He is on his own mug. Did you catch that? Check that out.
Requires.
Oh, shoot. This is so sad. Oh my God.
Also, if I may, also is a little bit backward, because it also implies that there was an end result at the beginning of the process. The painter is painting a landscape with a landscape in mind. Well, the universe begins, the singularity happens, but the singularity isn't conscious, nor does it have us in mind. We are certainly a result, but we weren't a planned result. And so in that way, I also take issue with your premise.
Well, if you want to throw away the word creation and then just break it down further, again, we can say that my claim is that the universe had to have been brought into existence.
It began. I don't know how it began.
I guess we're playing semantics.
I think language does.
Well, you are playing semantics to say that having a beginning and coming into existence are like two different things to be fought over in the first place.
Matter. I mean, this is how we describe the world that we live in as best we.
All right, what's up? You know what's up, Shapingro? We have a platform that actually allows you to have your chat up. That's what's up. Man, you know, Riverside, it's cheaper than a premium version of StreamYard, but man, does StreamYard just get the job done where it needs to get done. You know, you pay out the nose for StreamYard if you're doing the non-premium plan, but it's just so smooth. It's like the McDonald's. They got the operation together, but you know, you gotta do your, You got to do your calculation of what you like.
Can. But I don't know what happened at the moment of the singularity, and neither.
Jared Speaks says, I felt shut out for a minute there, abandoned even. Well, Jared, the whole reason I switched the stream in the first place is because it wouldn't let me engage with chat. It wouldn't let me see chat in my feed in Riverside. So that's why, anyway. Discord link says it's expired. What? What? I am so lost. Oh, okay. Is it? Hold up. Let me check this out. Invite to server. Copy. All right. Let's. Nothing is going all right today. All right. You guys tell me if that works or not.
Do you? And neither does Owen, and neither does anybody within the sound of our voice. So something happened, Isabel.
Oh, the streams link. Yeah, so the streams link, hold up. Are you talking about Riverside? Yeah, forget Riverside. Here, let me get you if anybody wants to jump on. We're going to be reviewing a debate I've done with these guys, but I just wanted to hit up on the moral argument that they were using prior because I think it's worth it. Let me see how I can invite people to the stream. Invite, copy. There you go. Have at it.
About
all we got. Isn't that fair?
Well, again, we're the three of us here. It sounds like the three of us on this call right now agree that the universe began. You know, the most widely accepted cosmological view that 13.8 billion years ago the universe had a beginning. We all can work from that premise, correct?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll give you that.
Okay. So again, if something material had a beginning.
Yeah, no.
Right?
We're talking about the same stuff you mentioned before. I'm just simply saying you don't know how it began, and neither do I. And nothing about the beginning.
But that's not
implies
my claim is not about how it began.
Us.
Unless, of course, what is created requires an agent in order to make what exists by the end of the time we're observing who we are. Now, if we have agency, and the thing before us didn't have agency, what is the model by which our agency is analogous to? Meaning, does our mind have any bearing on what is true? Does it reflect the mind that made the universe? And if there's no mind that made the universe, then our minds can't reflect anything that is true, ultimately speaking. Never lucky, rubber ducky. Nice. Indeed. You know what? Let me see if I can skip to the part where I jump in. I just like the cut of his jib a lot. Let's see if but you know what? Just for the sake of argument, now that everybody's here, and by everybody I mean 7 people, we're going to see if I can get to my part.
Did I tell you I was a Christian?
Well, I think you said you would link it to the Christian God. Did I get that wrong? If I did, forgive me.
Again, this is why I very specifically at the beginning of this said what my claims are. I never once claimed yet that I was a Christian or what
and also, guys, don't forget to drop in my Discord. And if you would be so kind, I do have a Ko-Fi now. Smack that like, says Chapingro.
I never once claimed. I never once claimed that
Okay, so here's how the entire game works. You present a standard of evidence, or you present an argument to them by which threatens their stability of their worldview. Then they want to skip to Christianity and observe Christianity under the microscope of the status and the standards of their worldview and figure out, okay, does your worldview of Christianity measure up to my atheism? I'm going to use atheism to crush your worldview. I'm going to use these standards to crush your worldview. So, yeah. No, you didn't miss it. I just botched it really, really, really bad. And by I mean StreamYard, because I cannot tolerate a platform that will not let me highlight chat.
Creator or the thing that brought the something or someone that brought the universe.
Okay. Guys, I actually... What is the issue? Is it saying that it won't let you in, like you need an invite, or is it gone bad? Because Chapingo got in, Abe is in, Rev is in, a few other people are in, like Steelborn's in. So I'm trying to figure out who else is not in the Discord.
Into existence has specific traits. Again, I will restate my claim.
James, I already heard your claim. You don't have to restate it a dozen times.
So then why are we
that.
talking
We
about
simply
everything other
don't
than my
agree
claim?
on your
But
premise.
why are we talking about
Let me
everything
ask you
other
a
than my
question, though,
claim?
James. Are you a Christian?
Okay, now, yes, I am.
Okay. This has saved us so much time and energy. So, you believe in the Christian creator God.
I specifically do, yes, but again, that does not affect whether or not the universe has a creator in general.
Okay. How do you square? I'm just curious. This may be a little bit of a digression. How do you square 6-day creation with Adam and Eve against the singularity almost 14 billion years ago?
What do you mean exactly by that question?
I mean, they're two completely contrasting stories about the beginnings of all things. How do you square that as a Christian? Do you just scratch out the first couple of chapters of—
No. So, of course, the question premise is, how do you square that? How do you square Christianity with atheism? It's like, dude, that's that's what we're talking here. Okay, Chapingra says, Rex, when you create the link, click edit invite and make sure that doesn't expire for a while or have limitation number of use. Oh, okay. Pardon me, guys. It is playing games with me right now. So, tell you what. So it says the invite link expires in 30 days. So if I edit the invite link, maximum number of uses. Okay. No limit. We'll put we'll put no limit. Grant temporary membership. Generate new link. Okay. Sorry, guys. I had no idea. I just thought it was easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's try this again. Let's try this again with the link.
of the Bible, or you read them differently?
Well, I think this would delve us into a deeper theological discussion about the book of Genesis, the hermeneutical context of the book of Genesis.
All right, so here's what happens every single time in these shows. First, assume atheism is true. Second, assume atheism affords you skepticism. Third, ask about their religion. Fourth, apply the skepticism toward their religion from an atheistic framework where there is rationality granted to people, and that rationality says we need evidence in order to see if any other worldview besides a godless one is true. Robin, hello. Robin saw me live.
What the 6 days means exactly in relation to the universe beginning 13.8 billion years ago.
What do they mean?
This is all.
And Robin, I think I invited you to the Discord, but let me double check on that one.
Well, what do they mean?
This is
if it doesn't mean 6 days, what does it mean?
I realized, I noticed that this is a derailment from my initial claim, which I've tried very hard over and over and over.
You were beaten on that claim, and a theological discussion on this show? I don't know about that.
No, my friend, though, I was not. Again, my claim. Again, I will state it again and again. The universe exists. It was brought into existence by.
Okay, they're laughing, but the guy is right. They did migrate away from the actual prompt that he was getting at, and we'll get to my call before. I knew you before you were famous, Robin. I don't think I've known you before you were famous. I think you're famous through Pangburn, right?
Something or someone. That's my claim.
You do not know. We do not agree on your premise. And so I'm saying, all right, well, what interests me now is that if you hold to a creator,
why
you hold to
we
a specific deity with a proper name linked to a specific religion, which has a foundational holy book, how do you square 6-day creation?
How do you square your belief with somebody else's contradictory belief? You need to assume the validity of somebody else's belief in order for your belief to be true. So that once your belief is true, we can falsify your belief by the other belief we want you to falsify it with. Re-exam on SNATA right now. Is that some acronym for something filthy, Robin? I don't know. Spread your stream link to everyone on Discord. I'm in, including right after you post your original one. Oh, man. Yeah. I've been infamous for years. Robin Webster going across the fruited plain, 6-shooter in hand.
With the singularity almost 14 billion years ago. And instead of a straight answer, I get a game of Twister. By the way, I could take you and billions of other Christians and ask them the same question, and I'm going to get a host of conflicting answers, which is strange for the God who is not the author of confusion. I don't think he would need you to explain it. I would think he would have already made it clear. Wouldn't that be fair, James?
Well, again, how do you square the fact that we exist with the fact that it's scientific?
Now, of course, they don't have to square anything. There are no commands upon their lives. All their commands are upon the theist lives in the first place.
Impossible that something cannot bring itself into existence, or nothing can bring it into.
Sunday night at the Atheist. I don't know what that is. Interesting. Are you reviewing my review? And
like, again, I've not been provided with a compelling counter argument to my claim.
I don't know how the universe began, but it doesn't require.
But that's the whole
agency.
point. You don't need you're missing my whole claim, though. My claim is not. My claim was not that I know who or what
they are related.
Brought the universe into
it. The problem is, how does he know that it doesn't require agency to create a universe, especially in a universe of rational and moral agents? To say it doesn't require agency is to say that you have been able to deduce that out of possibility. How did you do that?
My claim was claims.
My claim was that
cannot
it is.
Separate.
My claim was that it was.
You cannot separate the implication of agency from your claim. It is baked into it. Owen, am I getting that wrong? Am I missing something?
I can't help but notice you mentioned that we didn't give you a counter argument. We don't have to give you one because we're rejecting your premise. Do you understand?
Is your premise then that the universe is eternal?
No,
that's the alternative.
We're not making a positive claim. You are making the positive claim. We are rejecting the positive claim.
But then, if you're not making a positive claim, then that means that you could completely conceive of my claim being true, yes? If you're not taking a stance one way or another?
No, I'm rejecting
that logically means
premise.
It's conceivable. But if you're not taking the
is
negative...
it conceivable that the universe was conjured by a giant purple space octopus who keeps the universe in a snow globe on the mantle of its fireplace? I mean, disprove that.
Okay, so first of all, the way to disprove that is that giant octopi would be made of matter, and matter would have to be dependent upon space-time in order to exist. So, and also the snow globe itself would be made of matter, and so unless the giant octopi would somehow be made of matter and have power over all matter at the same time, which wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, then yeah, that disproves itself by the barest of assertions and the barest of examinations. So yes, and also there would be no way to know that this giant octopus would exist because he hasn't actually revealed himself through prophets or scripture or even made any claims about himself in any way. And then this also doesn't have any ancient bearing that would go back farther enough or even have any reach with people whatsoever. There's also no necessary relationship between humans and an octopus in the first place. So there are many reasons why that cannot be the case, Seth, but I wasn't going to even let you get that far if it came to that. Robin Webster, not Robin. Sorry, Rev, you're not Robin Webster. The age of the earth disproves a Christian creative narrative. That's presupposing that things were created with predetermined age. Was Adam created as a fetus and had to grow into an adult? The age, Yep. So that's true. And also, as I brought up on the previous stream, remember that if you look at a rock and you say it took billions of years for this rock to form, what you've done is you said everything we've shown so far as a measure for aging must necessarily come from nature and not from God. And so all that aging must be extrapolated back. But you have already assumed atheism. You've already assumed atheism when you've done that. And thereby assuming atheism, you confirm atheism by saying this rock is this old because it took this long, and we know it took this long because it didn't come from God. We know it didn't come from God because we aged it and it aged it millions of years based on the presumption that God didn't do it. Nah, it's a transcendental slogan. So it's a transcendental piece of matter. Okay.
Yes,
we could play this game all day.
That would be the creator, though. But my point is that if that's true, that would be the creator. My claim is that something or someone brought our universe that exists and is material into existence. That is my claim.
Okay, you made a claim. You get a cookie.
And if my point is if you're rejecting that, then you would have to either say no, the universe is eternal, and if you're not claiming that the universe is eternal,
we don't have to make a claim. You're telling us
Then
we
you-
have to make
but then
a
that
claim, a
logically means
counterclaim. You're telling us we have to make
then
a
that-
positive counterclaim to reject your premise. No, we don't. I can simply say, I reject your premise. I don't have any reason to believe
but then that
what you're saying.
logically means that you think.
All right, hang on just a second. I'm going to have to mute you, James, for just a moment. It's bizarre when I ask what I consider to be a not unfair question. You're a Christian. Pause. Yes. Ah, yes, we finally understand. So it's the Christian creator God. How do you jive the creation story of the foundational text of Christianity with all this talk about a singularity? And instead of, here's how, 10 sentences.
The globe pre-exists matter. Right. Okay. So is it a conscious globe then? It doesn't. Where's the globe scriptures that go back into antiquity?
Right? We get a dodge. So my question to you is, Owen, how long do we continue?
Tavo, if you want to come up here, I am. The moment is coming up where I call in the show, and you can see me using triage in action again. Congrats, Rex. Thank you, Shaman Omar. And for those of you who don't know, Shaman Omar and I, as well as a channel called On Day 3, and so far we have another participant, I believe goes by Rabbi Israel, will be debating a topic about Christology in the future at some point. Tavo, let's see. Thanks for the Discord invite, Rex. Yes, absolutely. Tavo, did I send you my Discord invite? I want to make sure that that's the case before I go. And if you guys like what you see, definitely drop something in Ko-Fi. I got the link down there. Please leave a like and subscribe. Call is coming up. I'm telling you.
To, get dizzy in this swirling eddy. Do you think we're going to get anything more? Shall I bring him back and then we'll give him one more? If he does matter at the beginning, an agency and a creator, I think you and I just pull the plug. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. James, welcome back to the show, James. It's good to have you.
Hello.
Hello.
You are a Christian. Square the creation story in the Christian holy book against the singularity and almost 14 billion years.
Okay, but but previously you said that language is clunky. So with working from that precedent, will you accept anything I say? Like, we're going to have to get into semantics.
No, they're not going to accept anything you have to say. That's the whole point of the show. The whole point of the show is you call in, you're wrong, we're right, we'll question you. That's the point of the show.
The breaking down of language.
Why is it semantics to ask if one story agrees with another? If one chain of evidence agrees with one mythological tale? That's not semantics. I'm not tap dancing. This is rudimentary. Terms, no? This is Christianity 101.
Oh, well, thank you. All right, Rex is easily my favorite Christian philosopher on the net. Thank you so much.
Do we not have to agree on accepted defined terms within the
I'm not asking us to agree. I want you to tell me what you think.
Yes, but that requires me to use terms, though.
Then use the terms, please.
I'm out. Literally getting nowhere. James, man, I hope that
we have to fight the Decepticons, assemble the Autobots against the Christians.
That the religion doesn't ever need you on the front lines, because you are in for a very long day, and life is short.
Felt like
something happened, Owen.
Yeah. It felt like he was doing everything he could to not get trapped in something. I wasn't trying to trap him in anything. I just wanted an answer to some simple questions. That's it.
What I was hearing is, well, if we don't agree on my premise, we can't have any further discussions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, well, why can't I find out more? Why can't you paint a larger picture? Why can't you freaking tell me?
Wouldn't that be Decepticons versus Christians? Yes, but he sounds like Optimus Prime. He's got that really deep voice. Autobots. I can't avoid it. So this is where you would learn it from. Doing response videos shortly to a theologian who claims that the Romans alone and not the Jews killed Jesus minimizes the people of Israel's role to just the priest and maybe the Sanhedrin. Interesting. Dave Alyssa says, I want to be a Christian philosopher. Okay, So where's the dono link, Chapingro? The dono link should be pinned down at the bottom. I got a Discord, and then do I not have? I should have my Ko-fi down there as well. Do I not have a Ko-fi? Maybe I don't. I thought I did. Give me una momento, and I can scrounge that up for you. Give me 1 second. I thought I did that correctly. I will drop that. There, Ko-fi is down in the chat.
What your position is. People talk about things they disagree on all the time, but they can make.
Chapinger says, I agree with his argument about agency, but I hate his voice. Actually, I kind of think his voice is kind of cool. It's too cool, and he leans into it too much, so it kind of negates itself. Discord link is not working. Yeah, I probably invited too many people, Shaman. That's the problem. And so there might be like some kind of kickback on that. Here, give me a second. Are you, I actually don't even know where your Discord is, my good friend.
Make their case. And instead he's like, well, I'm like, okay, fine. Hypothetically, if there is a creator, then how did you get here? Well, unless we agree on the creator, I can't really over here because of hermeneutical and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure there's exegetical sources and proper theological study and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh.
Is it just me who's the only guy who's going to be complimentary of this guy's voice? I mean, I'm not shaming you. You guys can take shots all you want. I just think that he does sound like Optimus Prime. And if they ever need an Optimus Prime fill-in, Michael Bay, get this guy's number. I guess I should be pointing this way.
I just ask you a question about what you think. And after a while, it does get frustrating. In the chat, how do we do? Do we dump him too early, or did we wait too long? I throw myself at your mercy. Want to take another one?
Yeah,
Owen?
I'm down. Let's do it.
Let's see here. Patrick is dialing in from, it looks like, Illinois. Welcome. You're on with Owen and Seth.
Hey, Owen and Seth. How you guys doing?
Not bad. Let's talk. What's on your mind?
Cool. Yeah, so the prompt at the bottom of the chat says, should we be Christians? Now, should is an ought claim, which goes back.
Now, if you remember from the last call, I asked, should we believe that, or ought we believe that which is true, and ought we not believe that which is false? Should have been a fair claim. In fact, it should underpin everything of every atheist move ever. Every argument, every book, every seminar, every TikTok, every TED Talk, everything permeates, drenched, saturated in oughts and should and prescriptivity of reality to our minds. And what that means is, as Tavo so nicely put it, and as I bring up earlier on in the call, if we have these rules that we didn't sign up for, that we can't escape, pertaining to our behavior and our thoughts, those are the normativities, the epistemic and the moral norms that exist, even though they can be broken and yet still exist at the same time. We agree inevitably that they exist. In fact, this show, not just my show, but their show cannot run without normativity being true. All these unspoken, unbreakable, sort of unwritten rules. If you're an unbeliever, it's unwritten. But yeah. Tavo, that's me. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Everybody say hi to Tavo Sanabria. He has an amazing channel. He just got done with his stream with a guy with a scholarly sort of paper on Jesus, and even granting that if the resurrection happened, it would not fulfill something or other. It was hard to follow for me. Dave Alyssa says, Jared knows how to get a hold of me to invite me to Discord. Yeah, tell you what, once I figure out more how to run the Discord, I'll be able to get some people in contact with others, and then you can share the Discord link amongst your friends and family, neighbors and relatives, mailmen, milkmen, policemen, and mayors.
Back to normativity. There's epistemic and there's moral normativity.
Now, why is he upset? Why is he upset? Now, this is all drama and histrionics. This has nothing to do with logic. You can emote as much as you want. And I'm on the phone. I'm just pacing back and forth through my living room, waiting for them to get to their point. And I can't see their reactions. So I had no idea that this was going to be his reaction. The atheists are just hurt souls. They even reject the idea of having a soul, which tells you everything. It's true. It must be painful to not acknowledge the existence of a soul, even though if you read Ichabod Spencer, we know more about a soul than we do about even a rock at this point. What do we know about the rock? We know the rock is hard. It's made of matter. Sometimes it gives off an odor, but we know much more about the soul because we are one.
So do you guys believe that normativity has a personal or impersonal ground?
Sorry. I'm sorry. Hang on. Normativity?
Okay, hold on though. Usually it's the atheists who are boasting to have bigger brains. And I'm not saying I have a bigger brain than this guy. I went in saying normativity thinking that people would know what I'm talking about. One of my main problems, if anything, is going in thinking people know the terms and the ideas that I have in my head when I'm talking to people about these things. He thinks it's ridiculous about normativity. The Rock is cooking. But is he cooking soul food? That's the question, Chipingro. So they project that pain to others, hoping it reduces their pain, but clearly it doesn't and will not. I mean...
So as a personal or impersonal grounds, you're going to have to explain what you mean by that question. Let's start with...
Then why is it funny enough to like laugh over? If it's so unclear, if it's just so unclear what I mean by that question, then what is the laughter? Why isn't it like, that's ambiguous. Can you clarify? No, it's dismissive laughter.
Yeah, so when you say should, what is the basis of that should?
I don't do shoulds and oughts on this show.
I don't do shoulds and oughts on this show. Should I believe that? Number one. Number two, it said at the basis of his chat bar, the pinned message was, should we become Christians? Call in.
I do not do
when you're going to say you're going to have to do
oughts.
this, that's an epistemic ought. So you say you have to do this, that's an epistemic ought.
I don't. I do not trip on should and ought. There are conversations to be had about which behaviors are most appropriate, meritorious, which opinions, blah blah blah. But should and ought are honestly they're trapdoor words that apologize.
Okay. Dave Lissa, that would be much appreciated. I don't know if you got my invite yet. If not, try and reach out to somebody who knows you on Discord to do that. I've set up the rules for sure, but there are a few more things in setup that'd be good to know.
Apologists like to use. What I want to know is there a God, and how do you know?
Which is an epistemic ought question in the first place. To even ask that question, you have to have correct thinking as a category, appropriateness as a category, eliminativism as some sort of thing to take away any other prior.
Okay, so it was a mistake on my part to bring up eliminativism. It was kind of a red herring. I tripped up on my words here. What I was trying to say was, if you have a standard by which you are eliminating ideas as possibilities of things you ought to believe because they are self-defeating or too ambiguous, don't map onto anything, that's what I was trying to get at, but I need to work on articulating myself.
Preconceptions. So you have to figure out what.
I'm not sure what you're trying to.
Is not
okay,
normative.
let me ask you something.
Yeah.
There's an audience of ultimately tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, maybe, depending on how well the video does or whatever. What are you trying to prove to the average listener? What point are you trying to get across that you think that the average individual is going to understand and be able to grapple with?
So I credit Tavo with having to help me distill down in layman's terms what exactly I'm getting at with normativity. And Shaman Omar, thank you for the very high compliment. I had no idea that I was at the top level of philosophy. I've watched atheist videos. If I look back, I've watched them for, I guess, about 20 years. And so I know a decent amount of like at least what bubbles to the most popular sides of atheism, but I can't claim to have been like an expert on atheistic thought. So 2 shout outs in 20 minutes. Yes, Tava. Well, I'm very much looking forward to our interview. This guy reeks of hubris. Shapingro is talking about me, of course.
Point of your argument here. Can you make it something that the average viewer could understand so that we're not arguing over,
ridiculous nonsense? Okay. So we are in a reality with rules we did not sign up for our thoughts and our actions that we cannot escape and that we are bound to. And that includes both our thoughts and our actions. So when the prompt says should, and in my mouth, should is a tripwire, and in your show's mouth, should is not a tripwire, now we have a fundamental disagreement on
how is it a tripwire? How is it a tripwire?
By the way, tripwire was Seth Andrews' term last time I used it with Matt. You know what? I'm going to bring up that video because it is gold. It is gold. Like, there's no getting around it. I think it's, if I died tomorrow, this would be one of the videos outside of my debates with Andrew. This would be one of the videos I would have to go to. Give me just 1 second because this, oh my gosh, this is what we come down to. Check it. Oh, you know what? Let me back that up. So this is Matt Dillahunty, one of the top guys in atheism, and then there's Seth Andrews up top.
So would we agree that universally humans ought to believe what is true and ought not believe what is false?
No, I don't necessarily think that we ought to believe that which is true. I don't know how to justify that as an ought.
Great.
Help me understand real fast, both of you. Is the word ought thrown out as kind of a tripwire?
It's an imperative, yes.
It's an imperative. Yeah, but like we ought, for example, so we would be doing what we ought not do if we say, I don't want to believe that truth. I want to believe a comforting lie. So I'm going to go back to my cult, or I'm going to blast my brains out with drugs, or any number of things. Like if we, like for example, if you say I got deconstructed or I got deconverted out of my religion because the evidence brought me out of that, then what that means is there is a prescription from truth itself that dictates the actions of people, what they ought to do and how they ought to think. That truth itself is prescriptive, absent of anybody's preferences.
Is it prescriptive or can it be descriptive?
Well, if it's descriptive, then it doesn't have an actual prescription. But for example, I could say that humans have X behavior that is, communal, but that's just a description of their behavior. That doesn't necessarily prescribe anything any more than 2 + 2 = 4, or like what the atomic number for lead is.
So that's the tripwire quote right there. That's what I was dragging from. So here, give me a second. There we go. So that's where this context is. So he says he's lost when I bring this up. Now, Shaman Omar, I'm going to give you a hard time for this quote because if you remember, I did debate T-Jump. I was on that Sarah Tomato channel panel a long time ago. And then you said I had a script, and I did not have a script. I promise you, I did not have a script. But yeah, so funny story about that. I was visiting Minneapolis for the first time 2 or 3 years ago, and I went into a Jimmy John's, and there's T-Jump, and he's just standing there, and I'm just like, huh. So I go up, I introduce myself. I mean, he's obviously done tons of debates. He has a lot of experience, but I've known he's debated pre-suppers before. But then I ask him, okay, so what is your rebuttal to presuppositionalism? And he says it's circular. And then once he said that, I know, okay, then if that's all that is to it, then we just, okay, I bring up my objection, he brings up my objection, then he brings up burden of proof. This is where it got interesting, and I think that's where it got the most fast-paced. Like, if you were just a guy in the Jimmy John's, you would see a very fast-paced, I can't even remember all the play-by-play, it's been a while. But one of the things he said was that I would have the burden of proof, and to which I said that's a responsibility claim. That means that it's incumbent upon me as an individual to produce something. That would be an ought that you have put on me. That was a panel, not even close to debate. I agree, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So we did have sort of a one-on-one before, but it was just, I would say it's God providence and sort of circumstance in that way. It would be interesting. It would be interesting. I think especially now that I have an argument that I'm working on that's based on normativity, and his argument from the Church of the Best Possible Worlds is using a moral argument from physics, as he says it. I mean, that would be an interesting back and forth. I'll say that much.
It's a tripwire, and in your show's mouth, should is not a tripwire. Now we have a fundamental disagreement on the grounding of those rules.
How's it a tripwire? I'm lost all of a sudden.
That's a great question, Seth. Go ahead.
No,
answer.
I think I said should and ought are trapdoor questions, which are supposed to sort of derail us into theological conversations about.
Shaman Omar says, I remember that's not the place for this debate between the two of you. There were total idiots on the panel, if you remember. No comment. Do you want to have a proper debate with him? If that's going to happen sometime in September. This month is really packed right now. Panels can't be debates. Not formally. I see. I presented it to Shaman as a debate because people did kind of clear out from side to side when T-Jump and I were going back and forth, and I was just discovering his point of view before. I had no idea. But yeah, you use words I don't understand. See, that's the thing. It's like I figured we're talking to atheists. At least one of these guys is a philosopher, and the other guy is a showman. That's what I thought. And so I'm guessing the young guy over here, that's the philosopher, right? The guy on the right. So, and then Seth Andrews, because the first call I brought up aughts and he didn't even know what to do. Is that a tripwire? Is that, hold up. So I figured the younger guy would know what normativity is. And then now he's got to have me like dumb it down. But I don't know. I figured an atheist audience would be up for the challenge. Apparently he didn't agree.
Why we would know that we should or ought.
Right.
And, I looked up how do you say it? Eliminativism. It's difficult from my mouth to get around that. The radical idea in the philosophy of mind stating that our everyday common sense understanding of the mind called folk psychology is false, and that the mental states like beliefs, desires, and subjective feelings do not actually exist. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Do you hold to that position?
No, but that's not irrelevant. The question is, does normativity, meaning the rules that we have already written for us that we did not sign up for and we cannot escape for our thoughts and our actions, do those have a personal or impersonal basis?
I reject the dichotomy. Now, how does that get us to whether there's a God?
Okay. So what is between personal and impersonal? Everybody put in the chat, what is between personal and impersonal? If we reject the dichotomy, it's a false dichotomy. What is the tiebreaker? Or in this case, what is the false dichotomy breaker? Oh, Shaman. I have not agreed to anything yet, but that would definitely be interesting, and he would be a challenge. He's a smart guy. I don't take that away from him. Wait a minute. That's the answer. So, okay, that would be a personal source. That would be a personal. It might be a two-person source, but it would be a personal source nonetheless.
Is he talking about the laws of physics? Okay. Like you and I cannot alter the laws of physics, and we didn't sign up for them. We don't choose them. So we must exist within natural laws.
Huh? What? Okay. Normativity. Epistemic normativity. What that means is you can think incorrectly. Okay? Like a fallacy would be a breaking of epistemic normativity. If I did a straw man, if I did circular reasoning, if I did the Texas sharpshooter, any of those kinds of things, that would be a breaking of epistemic normativity, meaning rules of thought, how I ought to think. The laws of physics can't be broken because, well, I mean, again, I'm not a quantum physicist. If you want to ask Chapingro, for the most part, right? Like Newtonian physics, for as far as I know. Okay, I'm not an expert, so I'm not going to keep talking about this. But the rules of physics have nothing to do with something that you can choose or modify. Neither do epistemics. The question is, do we break epistemic norms all the time? Yes. Do we break moral norms all the time? Yes. Yes. So, based natural law take. You would like T-Jump, Chapingro, I think. Adrian Belgrave, how's it going? It is both simultaneously. Yeah, no, it would have to come from a personal source. To say the prerequisite for sex would have to be personhood in that case. I also want to sharpen my Christian debate tactics. Would Rez be the one to do that? I mean, let's put it this way. If I can replace my second job with this, then I'd have more time to like type some stuff up. But I am typing stuff up now, as Tavo Sanabri knows. All right, I'm gonna see if I can pin this to the bottom of the chat because I want that to be pinned. Oh, here we go. Well, I tried. That is so weird. Can somebody pin? There it is. There we go. Okay, I've replaced the pin on the message now.
Gravity's going to work whether or not we want it to work or not. It just is what it is. Is that what you mean?
Okay. Well, I want to address what's the other guy's name, Seth? I forgot.
I don't know. He's a smart ass, is what he is. He just showed up by accident.
So
he
did
author a great book. His name is Owen Morgan.
Okay, Owen. You say you reject the dichotomy. Is that because you have reasons that are normative to reject the dichotomy, or is it because you just reject it out of hand and you could have accepted it?
I reject it because I'm not feeding into your argument. I would like to know why you believe what you believe in a way that a broader audience can understand. Can you?
Okay. So at this point, we've realized we're not having a discussion between one guy who believes something and another guy believes something. We're having a one-way interrogation where people call to be in the hot seat. Now, it is posed as something to find the truth, but it is not something to find the truth. Instead, when it comes to, hey, let's talk on the same level so we can have a basic understanding of where we get this idea of shoulds and should nots from. And then we're like, I reject the premise. Okay, are you justified in rejecting the premise? And it's like, well, I don't want to feed into your argument. Is there a reason you don't want to feed into my argument other than that you just disagree to disagree? What is the actual problem here?
Frame it in a way that, 100,000 or 1 million other people could understand and grapple with. Can you convince an audience?
Well, I don't think anybody convinces. I think people make choice.
I don't think I can convince anybody. I think you have discussions and people are open or they're not open. And to the degree that they're open, they make the choice to make a change within themselves as far as what they believe. I don't know what these guys believe about epistemics, but it's also kind of weird coming from them to say that, oh, we're going to use reason to change people's minds. Really? If reason does change people's minds, then there are prescriptive elements to reality. If there are prescriptive elements to reality, then I am making my case even more. Because Matt Dillahunty would not sign off to that. But these guys do something different. They don't even reject that reality is prescriptive. They just don't want to engage, period.
But I think what happens is that every time we engage in a rational discussion, we are applying rules that we did not invent or sign up for every time we do that in order to deduce or use an abductive or inductive.
Yep. Okay, how much clearer can I make that for a general audience to say what normativity is? And then you complain that I don't do it, so I do it again, and you understand it. And instead of telling me that the way I do it again is also unclear, you just say, yeah, you already said that. Well, yeah, I have to say it twice because you retreated back to your last false premise, which was that I was unclear. Now, again, I say false premise in the sense that I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you guys as the host. I have faith that the atheist audience can engage with the internet, look up normativity, look up epistemic, look up moral if they really need to, and figure out what the 2 + 2 is between all those things once the phone call is over. You might be concerned that you're going to lose viewership if somebody on an atheist show says epistemic normativity or moral normativity or rules we signed up for or we didn't sign up for and that we can't get rid of. I don't know what the actual complaint is at this point. It just seems like I ask a question, you don't like the complex one, I give it to you simply, you don't like the simple one, and now you don't like something else. This is just emotional at this point. We're not even using a rational discourse anymore. We're just saying, I reject, and I don't like, and I don't have reasons for it, but you need to bring all the reasons, and I need to bring absolutely no reasons. That is how all these call-in shows work, it seems.
Right. Yes. So So I've said that already, so I don't know what's unclear.
Well, hang on. Are you saying, is this a free will position? Is this a deterministic thing? Like, I don't have a choice?
No, it has to do with the rules of governing our thoughts, such as logical inference and what we are forced to decide. So, for example, if I leave a religion and I say it was because of good reasons, that means that the good reasons compelled me to leave one position and adopt another because it is conformed to rules that were outside of my control. However, the problem was those rules can be broken both morally and epistemically. You can commit fallacies. A fallacy presupposes a rule that has to be there in the first place, that I ought to adhere to not the fallacy, but logic itself. So that means that it's not like physics where I can't escape it, but I do have an agency that can fall outside that normative, meaning that rule framework.
I'm
So
still
is
not
that
sure
based
how
on a
that gets
personal
us
basis or an
to God
impersonal
is
basis?
Okay. This works in drama class. It does not work in debate. I can't see you holding your head when I'm on the phone. I can only experience silence, and I can hear the complaint of the fact that I'm bringing up normativity and you have not engaged with my problem. The problem is, does normativity, that means the rules for how we think and how we behave with each other, does normativity have a personal or impersonal basis? Now, we all know why the atheist can't say personal basis, because that leads right to God, and they don't want to do that because an epistemic normativity, moral normativity, these are it's kind of hard to believe they don't.
real. I'm sorry. How does that get us to God is real? And, we live in a world where it's a shared environment and we all make some basic
Shut up, Chapingro.
assumptions about the world that we live in and everything else. How do we get to God is real exactly? Just bridge that gap for me.
Because we can't examine any claims until we make sure that we know what the ought is or the should is as far as thinking itself. Why would you
simply
say that
disagree.
I should not be a Christian? If I say you should not be a Christian because truth is binding upon your thoughts, that means that we ought to believe whatever is true, right? That means there is a binding on us that we have to do it, and if refusing to do it,
me.
I just
let you.
I've already lost him. I've already lost him. So the most basic fundamental understanding we have of truth is if something is true, we have to believe it. And I've already lost him. Isn't that amazing? That's amazing. We need evidence. Why? Why you need evidence? Because I need to have reasons to believe things so I can know that they're true or have good likelihood of being true. Okay. The underlying assumption is that we are bound to have to believe what is true. That's why when your opponent calls in and says, I'm a Christian, it's your mission to show him that his beliefs are wrong, so that once he understands his beliefs are wrong, the wrongness compels him to leave it. However, if there is no prescriptivity of truth, meaning if truth is something that you just choose, that you can just turn on and off based on what you like and don't like, then there is no rule as for how I ought to believe or how I ought to behave. That's the whole point. And the fact that he's lost on one of the most basic questions you have as a human being when you're born, when you grow, is if it's true, that's what you do. How did they miss this?
Look, I'm an average viewer watching this video right now, and you have not given me a reason to believe.
Okay. So the average viewer doesn't understand. So it's interesting. Seeing as he can't be in the argument and take it from the vantage point of him being himself, he has to take it from the vantage point of somebody who doesn't know what I'm talking about. It's similar to how when atheists are confronted with a religion, they say, well, why not another religion? It's like, well, no, you're an atheist. I'm not talking about that other religion. Well, no, but what if I was a Hindu? What if I was a Muslim? What if I was Zoroastrian? What if I was this? What if I was that? And they never, you think if atheism was the strongest standpoint by which they could judge other things, there would be an inherent framework to atheism that would do the job of knocking out other religions without having to name other religions or retreat to other religions to hide behind and say, well, I don't believe your religion because other religions exist. Other people, when they have a religion, they believe their religion because their religion is the thing they believe is true. With atheists, they don't come at it from what is true. They come at it from everything I don't like is false, which is why they have to retreat from atheism to something else. This guy retreated from his knowledge, which is probably voluminous. He's probably a really smart and well-read guy. He's probably read more than I have. But apparently, for the purposes of this debate, that's not the advantageous position for him. Knowledge has become a liability in this debate. I've never seen this before. Knowledge is a liability. So why doesn't he engage with it? I already gave him the simplified version. He won't engage with that. I gave him the technical version. He won't engage with that. He said, I am some guy. I am a hypothetical guy who does not understand what you have said. Okay, how does that answer the question?
That's fine. I'm still throwing out the fact that you have rejected the question of impersonal or personal basis. Why don't you take an impersonal basis of normativity? Why can't you just say there's an impersonal reason why these rules exist for our thoughts that we can still break and they still exist at the same time?
I go ahead.
No, I hear a conflation or blending of.
All right, Spinger says that's a poor example, Rex. If every religion claims a source of truth, so if your claim is that a particular religion is a source of truth, it's valid to point out that their claim doesn't differentiate. Yeah, but the problem is twofold. Number one, the atheist does not have an epistemic, as we can see here, from which to attack any other religion. And second of all, other religions don't use that sort of framework because they have a framework with which to attack with. The atheist retreats from frameworks, or at least tries to retreat from accountabilities within frameworks. But the person who has a framework that they're trying to openly account for says that within my framework, I have enough to establish what is true and attack what is not true. But the atheist is reliant and parasitic upon other things outside of itself in order to make it true, but it doesn't account for what it needs to stand on its own.
Like, we know the laws of physics are what they are, and we are forced to live in.
Not accepting is not the same as attacking. It can't look the same, obviously. I understand that in a bare bones thing, just because I haven't accepted an idea that hasn't been told to me yet, it's not the same thing that's attacking. But this show is definitely about attacking.
In a natural world where we don't control gravity, we don't control the flow of UV rays, et cetera, from the sun. And we are forced to maneuver within the laws of physics in our universe. But I think us navigating choices, and this may speak to a free will argument, assessing information, testing, retesting, walking away from a religion because we realize it simply does not work, doesn't hold water, it's immoral, illogical, it's unscientific, it's unhistoric, it's untenable, and we say, no, I don't buy that. Those are two totally different conversations. And
I agree. The free will thing is totally different than all the other criteria of unreliable, doesn't work, illogical, immoral. All that stuff is great.
Wait,
those are all rules, aka normative claims. Those criteria are all normative claims.
Wait, you interrupted, brother.
I didn't know I interrupted. I wish I could do like a video chat so I could tell. I did not mean to interrupt anybody. I'm just a little jumpy.
You interrupted.
So
okay, I apologize. Go ahead.
So why the Christian God?
Okay. This is amazing. Just like the previous call when Matt was on, and just like this call when I'm on now, I bring forth an argument that I think picks at a fundamental flaw in their approach to how they live, an incongruency, if you will, with how they live, what they say, how they go about things that they can't answer. Now, I asked Matt, how do you ground the idea that we ought to believe what's true, we ought not believe what's false? He says he can't. That's a transcendental huge deal. I'm doing something similarly here when I'm going from normativity and saying, does it have a personal ground or an impersonal ground? And they can't answer the question. In fact, they refuse to answer the question. When I try to press them on the answering the question, they just say that I reject it. But do they have a reason for rejecting it? Is there an inherent problem that they can name and spot, or is it just uncomfortable? And they feel like they should always just win every exchange. And because it's uncomfortable, therefore, that alone is the reason why they get to reject it. That's my question. His face during that was made for screenshots. Yes, but it is, I feel it is a little unfair sometimes if I take somebody, like, because I wouldn't want that to be done to me where you'd screenshot me and my face and then make it into something contorted and horrific. And so I'd feel like if I did that to somebody else, I'd just be like, it just feels slimy and sleazy. like if I get a screenshot where they're like slightly uncomfortable or slightly perturbed, that's average and typical. But if I make them look like they're, well, I'm not going to give you an example because that's going to become a screenshot. But if I give them a face on my show where it's going to look like some kind of animal or some kind of crazy person, then I'm not going to do it. But yeah, UV rays, awkward freeze face. Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. That's the unfortunate part of these review shows. If atheists are using that as an attack, then I agree with you. How about that? Unfortunately, my brain lost track of that conversation. I'm still kind of balancing the show and the chat. Tava says it's a verb, awkward freeze, facing someone. Oh, I didn't know that.
That would be a great question until we found out the exact spot of normativity. Because normativity, for example,
did you and the previous caller, like, did you guys call each other before I?
No, I just call it providence. But let me tell you why. Let me tell you why.
A God belief.
Okay, instead of
okay, here's the thing. They have to leap over the objection I've got. This is like an atheist show. If I'm looking at the brochure for atheism and I have specific questions that affect my normal day-to-day life, how I should think about myself, how I should think about reality, how I should think about others, and you can't answer those basic questions with a call-in show that is more convincing, more compelling, and more clear than the Christian framework, and all you have are criticisms based on, trust me, bro, don't ask. Why should I answer your question about why Christianity? You can't even evaluate the most basic thing, which is believing that which is true. And you want to ask me about why I believe Christianity?
Panicking. Let me tell you why exactly.
The Christian God. Why?
Okay.
Shaman says personal and impersonal grounding is irrelevant. We can talk about that. Could the interlocutor no claim that this is a false dichotomy, as they could ground in logic? Okay. Sorry, the grammar is getting in the way, Shaman. Could you try that one more time? But I thank you for the plug, Dark Side. Thank you for the plug. Appreciate it.
Okay, this episode just highlights that that's your only move when you have no answers then. Because I'll tell you why.
Ask you why you're a Christian?
I will give you an answer. Okay? And that's the last.
Okay, check this out. The fact that he said, I will give you an answer, is an admittance for the last, how long has this show been going? Hour between the commentary? No, that's it. That's just this show. But for however long this conversation has been going, that is the admission that I have not actually received an answer to my question. Is normativity grounded in a personal or impersonal source? That is it right there.
Last answer I'm going to give you in this Phil Bro garbage, and then you're going to work with us.
I laugh because okay. If you're a Christian in the debate space, here's what happens. If you use the Bible as your standard of evidence, and you use your personal experience as standard of evidence, and you use your conscience as a standard of evidence by which you say, the Lord saved me, he died on the cross for my sins, I have sinned, I am a sinner, I deserve hell and death for I deserve hell for the best thing I've ever done in my life. Everything I've done is selfish. Everything I've done is self-centered motives. Everything I do is just awful in sin. And then I realized that Christ wasn't telling me, become righteous so that you can go to heaven. He was saying that he himself died for our sins. We've sinned. We have incurred this debt towards God. We deserve death. The death sentence is upon us. God has drawn his sword, and we are about to die. But at the same time, the very God who made us, that has drawn his sword, that has told us that we have sinned, and we continue to rebel anyway, he sent his son, the Lord Jesus Christ, to die on the cross for our sins in our place, taking our punishment, so that anyone who trusts only in his work and in his word will be transformed. They will be a new creature in Christ. They'll be born again. They will hate the sin they once loved and love the God they once hated, because God has done a work in them. If I tell them that, then one of two things is going to happen. Either they're not going to be convinced and they're just going to keep their walls up, right? Or the Holy Spirit will move upon that, and then they will say, look, I recognize that I am a sinner. I have sinned. All I've ever done really amounts to sin in and of myself, unless God saves me, unless God changes me. That's the gospel. The gospel of Jesus Christ is Jesus dying in our place for our sins, that we may be transformed and have a right relationship with God, because we can't go to God as we are. Our good works, as they stand right now, are only just self-service. If we think that we have righteousness before God, we're lying to ourselves. We need God's righteousness himself. We need Christ himself to die for us. I can tell them that. I can tell them that Jesus was killed, died, buried, rose on the third day according to the scriptures. I can tell them those things and tell them to put their hope in Jesus and stop putting your hope in yourself or this life or money or anything. I can tell them all that and it would be true. I can tell them about all the changes and all the answered prayers in my life and all the experiences I have. And you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, that's not evidence. And so here's what happens. As soon as you're like, okay, I'm going to research how you guys talk. I'm going to research your standards. I'm going to use your terminology. I'm going to come on your chessboard and I'm going to see how you react when I move pawn to f4. Then I move to pawn to f4 and then they say, oh, this is a chess bro. Really? This is okay. So what you've demonstrated to me is you have an unfalsifiable, no-win situation, call and show, where you make stuff up. And it's like, why should we believe this? Why should we believe that? And I'm asking you, on the basis of a supposedly superior framework, why should I accept your attitude towards my religion? And then I come up with, well, no, well, you got it. No, let's hold up. I thought all the mechanical guts to understanding and truth resided in your head. I thought the questions that were answered by religion are not actually answered by religion. They're not actually answered by Christ. They're not actually answered by God or the Bible. They're answered by what's in your head. So I came to your head to figure out how I know that I ought to believe that which is true. One of the most basic human experiences ever. And I get nothing. And you're supposed to be upset with me because I don't abandon my post? Anyway.
You gave me a dichotomy, personal versus impersonal ground. But that presupposes normativity.
If the chat is the fruit of Rex's work, what can we say about that tree? Okay. Are you okay. Chipingo, you want me to ban the chat?
Needs a ground of that sort. Math and logic are normative-ish, okay? It doesn't apply in that way.
All right, Shaman says, could the interlocutor not just claim the grounding in logic and reason by passing the personal or impersonal grounding? Why do Christian apologists always present that as true dichotomy? Hold on, not claim their grounding in logic and reason by... Is this just a retyping of a previous... I don't understand. Why do Christian apologists also always present that as a true dichotomy? What is the splitting ground between personal and impersonal? Like, where do rules come from? Do rules come from rocks or do they come from minds?
That's why I reject the dichotomy. There you go. There's your answer.
Chipingro, when you're a Christian YouTuber who gets into worldviews, and I'm going to have to back this up, but when you're a Christian YouTuber who gets into worldviews, atheists will show up. It's like bringing bread. The geese will show up to the lake if you bring bread.
Presupposes normativity.
Cypher, how's it going? Welcome to the show.
Needs a ground of that sort. Math and logic are normative-ish, okay? It doesn't apply in that way. That's why I reject the dichotomy. There you go. There's
okay. I got to hear that again. Let's listen to it again.
Christian God. Why?
Okay. This episode just highlights that that's your only move and you have no answers then. Because I'll tell you why.
Ask you why you're a Christian.
I love that react. They just look up at the sky. I don't know who they're looking to.
I will give you an answer. Okay. And that's the last answer I'm going to give you in this Phil Bro garbage. And then you're going to work with us. You gave me a dichotomy, personal versus impersonal ground. But that presupposes normativity needs a ground of that sort. Math and logic are normative-ish, okay?
Okay. Put this in your dictionary. Open it up, go to the end section, and write normative ish. I want somebody in the chat to tell me what the heck normative ish is. If me asking a normal question like, what makes something a rule that we have to abide by that is breakable and yet real altogether? What makes that? First, I'm a Phil bro. And then the answer is normative ish. Is normative ish in the philosophical encyclopedia somewhere that I missed? Well, probably. But no, probably not actually.
It doesn't apply in that way. That's why I reject the dichotomy.
I'm so lost. This doesn't make any sense to me.
But that presupposes normativity.
Okay. Everybody in the chat. Next time an atheist says normative ish, just go right with it and be like, okay, we'll talk about Christianity as long as I can use logic ish and see if they accept that as an answer. Just try it. See what they say.
Needs a ground of that sort. Math and logic are normative-ish. Okay, it doesn't apply in that way. That's why I reject the.
It doesn't apply in what way? What is applying? If math and logic are normative-ish, what does apply? Oh my gosh, this is painful. Like, what? These are the experts. Remember, these are the guys that are the smart guys. They left because they had brains. Oh my gosh, that's a good question. A question they weren't ready to answer. Normative-ish, definition, made up word to run away from the argument. Exactly. God-ish, logic-ish, new world we live in. Are you atheistic?
Needs a ground of that sort. Math and logic are normative-ish. Okay, it doesn't apply in that way. That's why I reject the dichotomy. There you go. There's your answer. Now,
how is that an answer? That's an answer-ish, I guess.
Now, why do you accept the Christian God over any other?
Okay, so at this point, he's upset, understandably so, because he had to give a bullcrap answer. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, they're asking me a direct question. And naturally, you feel the pull to be a normal, polite person. Somebody's asking you a direct question. And I felt that pull this moment. The problem was, it's not their frame. It's not their frame. They have not called command to it. They have not established it. They have not. Look at their expressions. You want to talk about expressions? He's upset. He's upset because he can't laugh. Usually at this stage of the call, at however many minutes in with this call, he's laughing at somebody with insufficient evidence as he would deem it. He's not laughing now. And the reason he's not laughing is because even though he's hiding behind the average, I guess, low IQ viewer of the show or mid-wit viewer of the show to say that, well, if somebody else doesn't understand it, then I'm going to take the position of somebody else who doesn't understand it. Okay, you can do that if you want. However, I'm talking to you. I'm asking you the questions. Guys, listen to smarter people so that they can get better answers, so they can get better understanding. I'm trying to bring somewhat of an A game to this conversation that I've not heard before, and I'm not getting anything but crickets from these guys. And they're not happy. Most of the time, again, by this stage, they're smiling and they're ready to end it. And, ready to laugh at the stupid Christian, Muslim, Jewish, theist, whatever. They're chucking it up and having a good time. They're not having a good time right now. And the reason is because they are in a pickle.
Hold up a second.
I answered your question. Are you going to answer my question now? I answered your question honestly in the format that you expected with an answer that you would have expected. Now give me an answer to my question.
Let's say we agree with whatever premise you're making.
I don't know what normative is.
Let's say whatever normative and
look at his expression now. Do you think he's ready to define normative-ish for me? Normative lacking is a really good argument to expose beliefs. Absolutely. Chapinger says, my boy Rex is a phenomenal deconstructionist arguer. Could you imagine having a deconstruction zone, but it's deconstructing atheism? Like, look at me. I'm the skeptic now.
Whatever. Let's say we agreed with that. All right. Well,
Okay.
take me on the next. Let's take the next paver forward. Step me to.
Okay. This is a repackaging of the last step they wanted to do, which is let's stop talking about the uncomfortable topic and we'll talk about Christianity now. Now, I learned from my last call with Matt Dillahunty, which if you check my channel, you can actually see how the exchange went from beginning to end with Matt Dillahunty. And what Matt Dillahunty did is he brought up how God said that David's wives would be essayed as a part of judgment, and then tried to put me in this place where I had to like defend essay on some level. Now, the truth of that is, all I have to do is point out that, okay, so if prior causation excuses the people who did it, that means that essay isn't wrong, whatever the prior causation would be. And then you would be an essay apologist yourself. Or if you say that prior causation does not excuse the offense, then great. Then what the people did were wrong regardless of what God said. So what's the problem here? Either you are for essay or you're not. And okay, you could say that's a false dichotomy. Let me clarify this. If you're saying that the standard by which we are judged could be wrong, then I would ask you the same question. Is it a personal or impersonal standard? And then we're back to normativity all over again. Even if you wanted to say the God of the Bible is evil, the God of the Bible can't do whatever he wants, the God of the Bible is wrong, he can't invoke all kinds of judgments like slaughter and all that kind of stuff, that's still a normative claim, and which you have to appeal to either a personal or impersonal source from. Some people have posited that sex is a personal and impersonal source for normativity, I guess, but Chapinger, I'm sorry that this doesn't work for me. Chapinger says, that's why I stick around. I ought to find out where my beliefs are incorrect. The source is irrelevant if it's factual that I'm incorrect. I think the source is definitely relevant in terms of, does the source provide explanatory power for the kind of reality we see? Does a personal source give a surer basis for the reality that we're seeing than an impersonal source? Does a personal source do a better job than an impersonal source of explaining why we have standing, why we have blameworthiness, why we have responsibility, why we have purpose, why we have value? Does that come because the laws of physics are there? Does that come because rocks exist? Does that come because we have feelings that are evolutionary derived?
Toward the Christian God. Make your case there.
Okay, so, but if I step you with a Christian God, do I use a Christian normative framework to evaluate my assessment?
Dude, really?
Or would that be circular
Are you
reasoning?
kidding me? Are you kidding me?
No, here's the problem. If here's what's going to happen. I'll go forward, I'll give you my evidences per my worldview, and then you will drop the I'll grant it, and then go back to a secular worldview to then evaluate those influences, which you haven't grounded because you said they're normative-ish, which is a very
you are a
unsatisfying,
painful
unclear
human
term.
being to talk to. Do you know that?
I mean, essentially, what we're eventually going to get to the religion where we talk about a creation tale with.
See that desperate sort of plea for, and a cry for an exit, because they cannot handle the pressure of the most basic question in the human experience of aligning yourself with reality. One of the most fundamental experiences and instincts, I would argue, we have as human beings, and they don't have an answer for it, which should be an evolutionary outcropping, if anything. But even if it is an evolutionary outcropping, they know that, as I said with Matt Dillahunty, that is only descriptive, not prescriptive, not normative, descriptive only. Adrian says, I'm glad I stopped by. This type of knowledge I believe Christians need to refute these atheists. I'll say this much. I don't know if I can exactly say that my argument refutes it, because it has a transcendental starting point. But the question would be, does it neutralize it? And I think it does. You are a painful human to talk to. Yeah, I have my moments.
Two cosmically conjured garden nudists who talk to reptiles, and a speaking donkey, and 900-year-old humans, and flying chariots of fire, and seven-headed dragons, and all that stuff. But to get there, we have to talk about normative things. Is that what I'm...
Okay. Come on. hold me up here. Hold me up here. Okay. All right. This is great because he is saying a bunch of things in a ridiculous way. Saying that with by implication, we ought not believe these ridiculous fairy tale things that I believe the Bible makes obviously ridiculous in and of itself by adopting these ideas. And then we're wasting our time talking about normativity. You just spent all this time talking about normativity by implication. Your entire criteria for what you ought not believe that you gave in this list is an appeal to normativity. That's why my argument lives inside yours and eats it from the inside out. Oh my gosh. How is this not clear to you? This is why Matt dropped his head, I think, when I asked him, ought we believe what is true and ought we disbelieve that which is false? And when he says he can't ground that and his head goes like this, it's probably because he looked at the chessboard and he knew he needed to change the subject. So this time, I didn't allow you to change the subject. In fact, you can't change the subject because everything in a philosophical, logical, theological discussion, anything involving rational discourse, is necessarily normative.
I'm hearing.
Those criteria you listed would be great if we had normative standards that we knew where they come from, which would characterize which direction those normative standards would point you to.
The normative standards are, it's not normative in the way that you're implying. It's normative-ish. It's kind of normative.
Oh my gosh, normative-ish makes a comeback. We thought it was dead, folks, but it came back. Normative-ish for the win, everybody. Okay, honestly, this is, if somebody watches this, they're going to say, look, this is an arrogant Christian, everything, and they might be totally right about that. I'm just saying, at this point, if you're going to tell me my beliefs are ridiculous, and you pull out puppets like normative-ish, step off. Honestly, you want to have a real discourse about what is true, what is real, what deconstructivism is. Like, this is unbelievable. How did they not get this? How is this getting past them? Oh my gosh. Wild.
You're implying there's a being behind it. There's a God that's...
I'm implying... Hold up a second. Check this out. I did not imply that there was a being behind it. That's the beauty of my argument. I said, is normativity based on a personal or impersonal basis? I didn't even hear any argument for an impersonal basis for me to respond to say, no, it's a personal basis. Never happened once. In fact, the only way that my argument is circular is if you admit that the Christian God is the basis of normativity. All I did was bring up normativity, which you guys agree exists. And normativity-ish doesn't answer the question. In fact, if I ought to believe in normativity-ish, that is a normative claim. There's no way out that you have discovered yet. Certainty exists. Welcome to the show. Oh my gosh, you people. Can you imagine what kind of world we have to live in? And they think they're dunking on me. This is wild.
Pulling strings and doing things intentionally, and we have no reason to believe that.
Reason to believe. It's everywhere. It's covering him like white on rice. Oh my gosh. Link is in the chat.
Here's the problem with the reply. To say normative would require...
Let me know if you need a hand when you want to get off that horse, sir. Chapingro, tell me you're not seeing what I'm seeing here. I love when people concede but don't want to admit they conceded. The problem, again, inherent to me getting off that horse. I can be wrong about particular things, but if I ask the question, where do these rules come from? personal or impersonal, and I get accused, without evidence, by the way, that I am implying that there is a personal source. Am I a Christian? Yes. But isolated to my argument, which we haven't even gotten to yet, because all I have to do is ask the question, and then my question gets questions. I didn't even argue. I didn't even have a chance to argue for a personal source for these rules. So,
an authority to
Are
bind you to
you
a
a
conclusion that the
Christian?
normative.
oh, okay. I thought you said that in reference to me, Chapingro. Okay. Sorry. I'm gonna back up the video a little bit because I don't want to miss it. Because I don't want to miss a thing.
Standards would point you to.
The normative standards are, it's not normative in the way that you're implying. It's normative-ish. It's
Was that normative-ish?
kind of normative. You're implying there's a being
How can you have kind of normative without normative?
behind it. There's a God that's pulling strings and doing things intentionally, and we have no reason to believe that.
Here's the problem with your reply. To say
Oh,
that
boy.
normative-ish
Look.
would require an authority to
Are
bind you to
you
a
a
conclusion that the
Christian?
normative-ish.
Are you a Christian?
Look how he doesn't want to embrace normative-ish after he's committed it. He said it twice. He didn't retreat. Then I push him back on normative-ish.
Yep.
Okay, why? Why not
That would
Islam?
be a great.
Tell me,
that'd be a
why
great
not Islam?
question
No,
if we
I
have-
think Owen's asking a perfect look. If God
Owen's asking a perfect question if we know what the nature of the rules governing us are. For example, if I'm a Christian, I read the Bible, I pray, I go to church, I obey, I seek sanctification, I seek fellowship. Those are my normative oughts as a Christian. If it is an impersonal, atheistic basis universe, I don't pray, I don't read my Bible, I don't have Christian fellowship, I don't go to church, I don't have any oughts to do or not do anything at all. And yet, somehow, I want to bolster epistemic and, in some cases, moral normativity, even if it's private moral normativity. So, yes, you do have to ground your normativity. Same reason why you have to ground your logic, because just saying there is logic doesn't tell you the identity of things. Just because there's a law of identity, it doesn't tell you that what a human is. If I say a human is a human, well, that on its own doesn't provide a definition. My worldview that I ground the laws of logic in define those categories of what a human is or isn't. Let me get to the chat real quick. Shaman says, don't be overcritical on yourself. In no way does it look like you're on a Christian high horse. Quite the opposite. The entire premise of this show is being on an atheist high horse. Very, very true. Darkside says, get those likes up. Thank you. the ish is on. Saying it is normative, ish is conceding without wanting to admit you are conceding, 100%. Therefore, you have to meet your opponent on the level battleground. Your specific theology has nothing to do with the larger question you're posing to them. Right. This is the atheist experience. But apparently the atheist can't experience the argument unless you attach it to a specific religion that they have some kind of axe to grind over. You got to know who you're calling it to. This kind of cope is always funny to watch. It's also kind of like, I didn't know I was going to be doing this today. I didn't know I'd be calling in, but I saw Seth Andrews, and I knew if Matt wasn't there, I wouldn't get the infinite mute button. So, it's not that I can't call in with Matt. It's just that with Matt, as has been made perfectly clear to anybody who's debated him, even if he flies out somewhere, there's no guarantee he's going to spend more than his opening statement in the debate itself. So even if I call into a show or a scheduled debate on like Bible thumping wingnut or something like that, gosh, like what do I expect? So I expect these guys who are not Matt to be a little more well-behaved, to use the mute button less, which they did, and which also gave me a chance to talk a little bit more and clarify my position. But I want everybody to take note that on this show, if you bring an argument, they want you to leap to your religion and put your religion under their microscope. You don't have to do that for the same reason that things are normative-ish. Well, you want me to talk about my belief system? Well, that's just normative-ish. So I'm going to use logic-ish to answer-ish your question-ish.
God wants to be perfectly understood to the least of these. To somebody who isn't
First of all, Matthew 25 is about Christians. The least of these is not about poor people, and you were supposedly a pastor or went to some kind of Bible school or had some kind of Christian background, so you should know that.
wading in these supposedly deep waters.
Technically speaking, they're moving the goalpost and trying to get you into the meadow, which is your specific theology, because they cannot answer the basic question pertaining to is or ought. Microscope for the win says Lost to Avarice. Check out Lost to Avarice's show. He's got one. What is it? Is it Sundays and Saturday? Friday mornings at 9 Central, I want to say. And then I think you had one today or yesterday. Forgive me, Lost to Avarice.
Of philosophy and theology, who doesn't have all of the layered nuances that you allegedly bring to the table. How would God be able to communicate?
There are rules to how we live. I am so philosophical. I am so deep. My mind is a steel trap. Nobody knows what I'm saying. What is this? How many Christians do they accuse of being philosophical and up here? I'm just telling you, there are rules by which we must think, which are logic. Isn't this what the show uses all the time? Same thing with moral objections. Doesn't this show say the God of the Bible is awful, and that little chyron they have at the bottom, the God of the Bible is awful? Okay. Great. Let's talk about how people ought to react. Let's talk about how God should be in your mind. Where does this should come from? Does that should have a personal or an impersonal basis by which you judge him? Oh, you're so philosophical. You're off in another galaxy, man. I can't understand. Give me a break.
The very basics of a salvation message.
Chapingro, by the way, my Ko-Fi I just set up earlier today, so it might be a couple days. But I did want it at least out there that I do have one. So thank you for checking. Yes.
Without all of this bullshit that we're having to navigate.
I'm sorry. Every frame is okay. I love that face. Every frame is a pause because everything he says is just about evaluating what I've said. He wants to be in a position where he can evaluate me and tell me how good or bad my arguments are. But you can't do that, can you? Until you figure out what the nature of what I ought to think is. Especially if you can't tell me if I ought to think true thoughts or I ought to believe true things and disbelieve false things.
God,
the entire question.
Go ahead.
Sorry, keep going.
No. Go ahead. I mean, I want to know if why can't the least of these, then I might be among them. Why can't we understand what the hell you're talking about?
Okay, all these moral pleas would make sense if you had a characterized moral framework grounded in something. To say you don't need it grounded is to say you don't need normative direction in the first place.
I'm done, Owen. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm done. All
right. Have a wonderful day. Wow, that's 2 in a row. Like, did we lose a bet? What happened?
I don't know. You tell me what happened.
I want to know. It's like the people who say, and this is a cousin to the conversation that we just had. It just popped into my mind. It's not a direct example, but people will say the wild complexity of all that's around us, blah, 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 #design. And you and I know that any engineer realizes that the most amazing design, the most
I'll let you say it, Certainty, but I was thinking it.
Effective design is the one that is most efficient, right? It is distilled down to its simplest parts with the fewest amounts of waste. And I feel that about argument. I think a benevolent, an omni-God, omnipotent, omniscient, omnibenevolent God would be able to say, here's where I came from. Here's where you came from. Here's what I want. Here's what the hell is going on. And to do so without all the Philbro, like, I don't even know what we just heard about normative stuff.
What? You're on an atheism show that employs philosophy, that has Matt Dillahunty, one of your top guys, on your show, and you guys have never discussed normativity? Epistemic normativity? That didn't come up in all your discussions about evidence? Really? Standards of evidence? Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence? How do you qualify what kind of evidence you have if you don't have epistemic normativity? How can you tell me what I ought believe and ought not believe if not for epistemic normativity? If not for moral normativity, how can you tell me my God's a bad God? How can you say that your system's better? How can you use logic to determine and exclude other opposing worldviews without saying what you ought to believe, what you ought to accept? Why can't you say this? Oh my gosh. I love how the atheists try to bring up design and then mention an engineer to make their argument. That engineer is exactly the point. They can't even argue an unengineered universe. No, they always have to use some kind of design claim. One of my favorite angles to use, I will ask them, do you believe in mental health? And the smart ones will say no. Ironically, the smart ones will, you can tell, how can you tell a smart atheist when they give stupid answers? How can you tell a dumb atheist when they give the right answer? That's how it goes, unfortunately. Now, again, that comes across condescending, but after this, these aren't dumb guys. I think these guys know what I'm talking about, but they don't want to engage. I'm not accusing them of being dumb. I don't think they're dumb. I just think they won't engage because they don't want to accept what's going on when they're facing the rules that they ought to believe and they ought to obey. But it's still possible for them to break. How can that be? All I did was ask the question. I do have arguments beyond that, but not okay. I don't think once I've encountered an atheist who has gotten off the transcendental launch pad of ought we believe that which is true and ought we disbelieve that which is false. I have arguments beyond that. I have an abductive section and I have a deductive section, and we can get into that later at some point. One cannot condescend from way up there is the high horse exception. They're quite stupid, actually. They can hear familiar, unfamiliar language that they know they're not prepared for, so they have to play them to pause the conversation. Well, they are stupid if they don't understand simple concepts. I think they do understand simple concepts. They just don't want to understand those concepts. I think that's the problem. So, give me a second. Because there's more. I'm not done. There's more. It's just not on this show. It's on a different show. Give me a second. I want to pull this up. I was on the show. Maybe you guys have heard of it. It's called We're Offended, You're Offended. And it had to do with the very same topic. This is a little more extreme in some ways. And hello, Tyler. But yeah, let me pull this up for a second. I have engaged with your far past that argument, but maybe you mean streamers. Yeah, streamers. Yeah, Chapingo, you and I've given you my whole argument, or at least a iteration of the development of my argument in full notation per Claude a while ago. So yeah, you would be probably the only one that. David Hume is shaking his head at modern atheism. Yes, because on the one hand, you have, you cannot get an ought from an is. But the problem is, if you are reliant upon oughts in order to direct your thoughts, then you have to get oughts from everything in order to know what true things are and adhere to those things. In order to obligate me to not, let's say, put creationism in schools, or let's say put the Ten Commandments and Bibles and prayer in schools, to say I ought not do that because of some normative standard is to invoke the question, what is the basis for that standard by which we can tell what the oughts actually are? It's one thing to say that oughts exist. It's another thing to say the nature of the grounding of those oughts that would otherwise direct me to do A or B. Spunking Spaceman, Stranger Danger, Crystal Strange raid. Woo! Crystal Strange raiding in from South African YouTube. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to the show. So we're going to cover this next. I hope you guys are ready for some fun. Check this out. Oh, you know what? I got to put it on stage. Let me share the screen real quick. So this is Tyler. We had an exchange. Here's how it went.
Howdy, partner.
Are you as drunk as I hope you are?
No.
This has been
Oh.
brutal.
Speech, I guess.
So I think rights are that which truly belongs to you up until the point where there's justification to take it away. They're not absolute. But I'll give you an easy example of what a right would be. Do you think stealing is real?
We ought not
No.
stop them from saying.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Stealing is not real. Nobody has ever stolen. Nobody has ever owned anything. You don't own your computer that you're looking on this right now. You don't own the phone you're looking on this right now. You don't own the tablet that you're looking on this right now. Stealing is not real. Therefore, we don't live on stolen land because morals aren't real. Everything is perception. Property rights aren't real. Now, also take into consideration, he took a long time to answer that question. I asked him, is stealing real? She goes, yes, because it's basic common sense and basic human understanding. But he has to make the extra jump calculation that stealing cannot be real because that means morals are real. And if morals are real, where does that standard come from? That's the question. So it goes on.
What they want to.
I say yes.
All right, check that out. So these are a married couple. He says, no, stealing is not real. She says, yes, stealing is real. So here's how this breaks down. Example of what a right would be. Do you think stealing is real?
We ought not
No.
stop them from saying what they want to.
I say yes.
Something like that. Now,
Why do you say yes?
This is on the fly, so bear with me.
Well, because if you take somebody or somebody or something, somebody else's, that would be considered stealing. It's not yours.
Okay. You think kidnapping is real?
But to say that,
yes. Hence the somebody or something.
Rights
okay.
ought or ought not.
So we also think that, grape is obviously the next step. That's real, right?
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, no,
yes.
I'll reframe it.
So we got three things
okay.
here which you ought not
I don't
do.
know if there's something in the...
Okay, so just so everybody's on par. Kidnapping is real. Stealing is real. SA is real. According to, I forgot what her name was even, Kim. According to Kim. And so her and I are in agreement with this. Tyler is the holdout. Why? Because it offends
All right,
something
so
that belongs to
you
somebody
said
else
that
without
rights
further
are something that
justification
ought or
of
ought
the
not
action,
happen.
right?
Something like
Not only
whether the right
offends,
to
but
life, you said,
it's
was you ought to be allowed
taking
to
the
live, or
rights,
to
I
be
guess,
able to
away of
live
that
without,
person. It's
unimpeded,
invading their personal
or your
space.
right to...
Well, thank you, tiny pink nugget of chaos. Yes, I hope you're having a good evening as well. It is a good Sunday night, and maybe if we get Rev on board, we can do a Rex and Rev. I don't know where that man is. I gotta check on that guy. Right is there, and that's why the offense is there, because you're breaking a line that belongs to the other person without sufficient justification. So that'd be examples of rights. So I think those three are very easy examples of how you can detect rights in your conscience without needing to like philosophize so much.
I just disagree.
well,
This poor guy. Have you been watching this at
a
all?
lot of this language.
I just jumped on. You saw me in the chat. You dropped the stream, and so I started giving my answers for what rights are and giving examples of such.
I use something
Yeah.
bare bones.
Well,
Well,
unfortunately,
when we
this
say
Game
something
Boy
like
guy
that, all we're really saying is
wasn't really giving
ought
an
give them
affirmative to
something,
what
or
a
we ought
right
not do
is
something
and
for
why
them.
it's absolute.
I think that's really all
Yeah,
we're saying.
saying it's absolute was like the blunder. Once you say it's absolute, you've blown it. They are real, but they are not absolute. That's
Well,
the
are they real? I don't like. I was making the example. Fill my cup. Fill my bowl up with rights. It's literally
fill my bowl up with
metaphysical.
logic. Therefore, logic isn't real.
Exactly. Logic. Yeah. Logic is a descriptor of a thing.
Other than saying,
Did you use logic to determine that?
all we're really saying is,
Yes, I use logic to determine that.
Okay,
But, like,
great. So that's not a descriptor; it's a necessary precondition for understanding.
Oh man, are we gonna get into?
Well, you just said fill my bowl with rights, and it's like, you mean rice, or you mean we're talking about philosophy now?
Right.
So we're gonna go ahead and go straight into our.
All right, but no, the point is, you don't believe that stealing is
Put a bullet in
real.
the back of this, so that we can move
No,
on to
not
the next
an
one.
abs, not
10
an
minutes on the
absolute.
clock for you.
I-
now,
Okay,
Only
Gilmore.
in
discuss
any
stealing and
realm is stealing real?
We'll start the clock when you start to talk, sir.
Good.
In certain realms, sure.
Like what?
There's no way I could explain
Um,
this shit. Like,
So in certain realms, stealing is real. That kind of sounds like normativity-ish to me, or normative-ish. What do you think?
I think it would
to
be
explain a confusion.
in.
Like,
Trying to think of an actual example.
I'm not
One
like
right.
Died down a bit.
on the debate. Like, I'm not doing anything.
Here's
else,
what I
but
want
I'm
you
not
to say.
fully understanding.
Thank you. Carry on.
Here's what I Right. want you to say.
So,
Okay. So I say stealing because, like, with the initial premise of what a right is that it's something tangible. Like, I can't pull out right and defend something. A right is simply what I'm able to actually enforce.
like read out the screenshot I got because
I don't see why rights have to be tangible.
it was like
In fact, in every case, the whole point of a right is that it is intangible. Like like again, stealing. For example, if I give you something, it is yours. It now belongs to
mine.
you. It is your property. But if I take that away from you, no, Tyler, I think is a good guy in terms of just people in general. I also think that he has very strong pre-commitments to not allowing any question of God in the room, and that's why. Well, that's what you're going to see in my line of questioning here. He's not smug. He's very participatory. He's not trying to use some kind of domineering or mute button kind of dynamic in his show. We're having an actual discussion between actual people that's rational and calm, not an antagonistic freak out like we saw last time. It does not materially change, but theft has happened if you did not give it to me willingly.
talked to two people. I did some debate prep. People were like, "Yo, you didn't even."
Right. So with that example, but there's not like a right that comes down and prevents you from taking the pen from me.
It's
as
not a
an example.
prerequisite. So it's not a prerequisite for it to be prevented, because the whole point of making the example of a right being offended is the fact that it's possible to be offended in the first place. I mean, even the show is called "We're Offended, You're Offended." You know, so obviously there's a line within yourself that is crossed by which you take issue with. I think stealing is an example of a universally applied issue, and it's an affirmation of property rights. Now, if you say stealing doesn't exist, I mean, do you think? Let me ask you this: are you a taxationist theft guy?
A little bit.
Okay. Those are the questions I like to ask people in general. And there's a certain YouTuber out there I was supposed to debate on whether or not taxation was theft. Has not gotten back to me since, but that's okay.
It's something that we either accept as a society. I'd say rights are more of what society deems that we shouldn't do to each other. It's more of that aspect rather than, and those rights can change under mass influence.
Does that apply to slavery?
Yeah.
So a society with slavery is objectively no better than a society without slavery, and no worse?
Yeah, it just is.
It just is. Okay. He is consistent. I'll give him that. He is consistent-ish.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. It's a.
Do you think we should have a government or a justice system?
You're a good debater, Twin.
Yeah, I think most people, like a society, needs some type of hierarchy or control structure.
I mean, should and need again are charged
in place.
But it's no worse if it doesn't, right?
That's the thing. It's subjective. What's worse?
Exactly. So it's no better or worse without it.
Right. So if those people all get along with the idea of no government, like, you know, there's like that slab city in Nevada.
Hold on though. That's different though, because now we're adding an if that wasn't there before. Because now if we say if we're getting along, now we're making a conditional by which if you violate the conditional, now it's worse. Or if it's not worse, then you don't need the if. Yeah. Also, when people say if you want this outcome, which is another thing I'm going to hit on, there's a debate I want to cover later where it says if you want this outcome, then you have to do this. But that switches it from goal based. You know, that switches it from absolute morality to a goal-based morality.
Well, no, so I'm using like in a real world example of, so Slab City is everyone kind of works together on certain scales. That stuff works, but I think in large scales, that stuff starts to break down. So you can only have so many people that are kind of towing the communist line until that communist line devolves into, it comes into enforcement. So eventually I think a government or some type of enforcement structure is necessary.
Necessary for what?
for societies.
Okay, so why? Okay, so even if it's necessary, it doesn't mean it's right or wrong. You would say that
Correct.
it's just a descriptor claim. In order to get
Correct.
a certain phenomena, you need a certain enforcements or limitations on behavior. Pardon me, that was rude.
Yeah.
But that's not a value claim. That's just a descriptor claim.
Right.
There's
And
no
that's what
actual.
I'm, that's,
So there's no actual value to society.
right.
people.
And that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm saying it as a descriptor that I think the idea of good and bad is what the collective has come together and deemed we don't want this thing to happen.
Okay, so it's all feelings. Nobody could actually be wrong about it.
Pretty much in a philosophical sense, yeah. I'll remove the philosophical because I think our societies that we look at rights is they're just as intangible and fluid as anything else.
Okay, so do you vote?
Yeah.
Why?
Because there's things that I view as positive that I want to see implemented within society.
Well, hold on. Did you use reason to figure out what was good for society? And but while I ask that reason, I just want to say, notice how the chat, we're all chill, the war is over, and now we're having a nice, calm conversation. I think that is also reflective of Tyler and his reasonable demeanor, where we can have a back and forth conversation, as opposed to the atheists who are just like,
now tell me why your belief is really stupid so we can get it on camera and sell it to people.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an objective standard that is outside yourself that you used reason
Thank
to
you,
assess to impose on other people.
It's purely subjective.
But reason's not subjective, is it?
Yeah.
Reason is subjective?
People's ability to reason, yes, is subjective. It's clearly incumbent upon the person.
Well, not their ability to reason, but reason itself.
All right, so
Isn't reason real, independent of human minds?
No, I think reason is any justification that a person is able to come to. It was reasonable that little mustache man got rid of all the people with the funny hats.
Yikes.
Like, it was reasonable. That was how society decided to do it. I can
by
say
by
I
reasonable,
don't like
you
it.
mean people used a form of logic to arrive at that conclusion. You don't mean that
Yeah.
you approve of that. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, no.
Because it's probably not fair because you are half in the bag right now, right? So this is probably unfair for me to
No, so that's the thing.
Yeah, he was a little, he was down in the drinks a bit, so I don't want to hold him to it too much. I don't think he's going to change his mind if we're on Swords of Reason or if we're on Verbal Combat on Friday nights on Speakeasy's channel, by the way. I don't think he's going to change his mind, but I do think maybe he would make sharper comments than this if he was his sober self, because I'm thinking he would have picked a better conclusion, a better example than that. But one more debate to come after this.
It's what society deems that they either want to enforce or don't want to enforce. That's how I would look at it. Because if they were universal,
then why would you vote for anything at all if the opposite of your view is just as valid as your view?
Kind of like Forrest Gump.
Anyways, everybody click that link. Give them a vote.
because I think my opinions or the things that I want to see are better.
So they're not. So the opposite of your view is not just as valid as your view.
Right.
Okay. So that means your ideas are better.
Yeah.
How is it possible to get better ideas than other people?
Because I could think that maybe my reason or the logic that I've come to is oh God, I have to vote on this. Well, this is not even fair.
He said he voted, so I figured he's going to vote. Brandon, yes, that is you debating in the background. The debate, that's true. Yeah. So this was Tyler, and I didn't jump on the panel. This was Saturday night, I think. But I didn't jump on this panel.
Nope. All right.
I can't even see the. I can't even see the voting. Oh, here it is.
Okay, give us a reason. Give us a reason, yeah.
Okay.
Salt in the wound. Salt in the wound. My grandpa.
Yeah, so I'm
died.
posting it there. Please go vote. Because that was wild.
All right, confluence.
My opening was
All right, we'll continue on.
Yeah, so you got to help me out here. On the one hand, no value is better than others. Everything is just society. And then on the other hand, you want to influence society because your ideas are better. Which one is which?
We'll talk about that later.
So I think what I would like to see for society, that's why I vote. And just as why someone else would vote for things that they want to see within society is why they vote.
That's the description of the bird's eye view, but I'm asking in your head, why do you even like it seems like you have two standards at once. One standard is everything is descriptive of phenomena, and the other standard is I think these reasons are better. I've used reason and my reasons are better. Therefore, I want to see this enforced.
He said he was going to torture you.
Yeah.
Mine wasn't as bad.
You don't see the contradiction there?
Nope.
Okay. So so you have on the one hand, nobody's reasons are any more objective better than others, and then you have my reasons are better than others.
Yeah, in my subjective view. Yeah. In my subjective view, my views are what I want to see. Just as with your views are subjective because of what you want to see. You vote for the same reasons I do.
Okay. Give me an example of a policy that you like and that the opposite of which your opponents, you don't like, and why you think one is better than the other.
The removal of property rights, I think, is a bad idea. That is a movement that is going on from the other.
Now, remember, we just got done saying property rights don't exist because stealing doesn't exist. Or rather, the causation would be property rights don't exist, therefore stealing doesn't exist. And then now we're talking about we should legislate property rights. I'm so confused.
Side. I think it's bad because it removes people's ability to own and control their own destiny. They are no longer capable of actually pursuing liberty.
What's wrong with that?
Money. What is
It creates a subservient class to other people.
I appreciate you hanging
What's
out.
wrong with that?
I think that's wrong.
So real quick, I do want to say that.
Why? Do people have a right to not be subservient?
Nope. No, people don't.
Then where's the wrong?
There necessarily isn't a wrong. My morals and ethics view that removing someone's property or
someone's property
rights, and I'm talking
property rights,
like house type of thing. I think that's a bad thing.
Bad.
Something I don't like.
But if there's no objective value to ourselves, and there's no actual difference in like the pen example, where the pen doesn't change in material just because I stole it from you, and it doesn't change in material even if I give it to you like as a gift. It's the same pen regardless, and we're the same people regardless. So what actually wrong has happened in your worldview?
Whether or not that thing is actually able to be enforced, that would really basically it would break down to I don't like when people take things that I think I own or I'm entitled to.
Okay.
It's something that I paid for. So I don't like that you went and stole my pen. But if you stole my pen and I can't fight for it, not much I can do about it.
I agree that on the descriptor level, but why do you think that that's a reasonable worldview to believe that we ought to have laws that enforce property rights?
For everything else, because it's something I don't like.
Okay, so if you hit your head and woke up and had the opposite view tomorrow, would that opposite view be just as legit?
Yep.
And we would go through them.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the people who were involved in the debates, and then after that,
it's pretty simple.
If everything went right, that's when
Yep.
happened.
Yeah. So, I mean, that one was about as straightforward as it gets. There is another example I got here where I was on Missing Mod's show. However, shout out to Missing Mod. Check out her stuff. She streams, it seems like just about every weekday. Maybe not, but she has a very, very consistent show where you'll see both Christians and atheists there. A lot of atheists because she's from more of the taco Discord sort of wing of things. All right. Check this out. It's from her birthday marathon stream.
You have one explanation that can explain literally any conceivable data set, and the fact that you have an explanation that can only explain a data set that is consistent with the model.
You can't create any universe if you're a Molinist, sucker.
Yes,
By the way, check out my Molinism debate with Zillzone up here in the green matrixy type thing. It just premiered today on my channel. Originally, it was on Abe Dinkus's channel, but it is how to understand predestination and free will coexisting together. Is it reformed compatibilism or is it Molinism? Check it out.
To sign off on you, baby.
you do. You
got me from Millhouse to say, "Mama, may I?" Yes, I can. Okay. No, I'm kidding.
I react. Hey, Austin, I need to push back a little bit on that.
Go ahead.
If you found a mammal in lower layers, say in the Cambrian, for example, that would just call into question that particular lineage of evolution and would require another explanation. I don't think that would repudiate all of evolution.
It would be a major impact because
it would be a major impact, but how would you would still, dog breeding exists. So evolution does exist. We observe it. So, you might come up with another mechanism or something, or maybe we have the wrong mechanism in place, but that would not repudiate evolution in its entirety, I don't think.
Well, it definitely doesn't repudiate evolution that we haven't found one. I guess if we ever find one, we can cross that bridge, but we haven't.
Right.
I can't stay long, but Maud, I wanted to say happy birthday from my voice to your ears.
Thank you.
I'm going out with friends tonight. We're gonna go see the Odyssey in 70mm. But I wanted to at least.
By the way, the Odyssey was fine. It was. People are gonna probably hate me that it was an epic scale movie. The production was great. The symbology is great. The adaptation was great. And Christopher Nolan is a genius. I'm sure that's all good. I just didn't feel anything different coming out. Usually, you have like a feel coming out of a movie. It's like, wow, what a story, what an experience. Odyssey, not so much. Sorry.
Drop in and say hi.
It's not bad, but yeah.
Heard good things.
Nice.
Yeah, the Modesty, we're calling it. No, I'm kidding. But I did want to ask the gentleman on this panel, and Zilt. No, I'm kidding. It's just too much fun. When it comes to not having creationism taught in schools, is that because there's a moral obligation to believe it was true? I want to return where I got back with the Brandon Irish that last time, but is it because there's a moral obligation to believe that which is true, or is it no value one way or the other? It's only descriptive survival outcomes.
So I would say which creationism, if you teach one type of creationism, you'd have to teach them all.
Yeah,
I mean,
so let's take
100 different mythologies that have creation stories.
Great. Let's
I have no reason not to just grant it all.
Let's take the one. Let's take the one you take the one you disagree with most, and we'll make that the normative opposite of evolution.
Okay, the Zimbabwe story of the elephant creating whatever.
Yeah. So where does the ought derive from that we ought to choose one over the other, like a truth over lies?
Because we don't have any evidence for it.
So evidence is necessarily prescriptively binding to us and how we ought to think.
If you don't have any evidence that, or rather, if you have evidence that it's not safe to walk out into oncoming traffic, you should act on that evidence or you're going to get harmed by oncoming traffic.
Okay, that's a goal-based claim. Again, so the if there, as soon as they drop an if, they have stopped talking about absolutes. They've stopped talking about normativity. Now they're talking about if we have a goal. Now they're saying that here's a thing that you might want to accomplish. If you want to accomplish this, you got to avoid this, you got to perform this, you got to do this. But that's not the question. The question is, what are these rules based on? And, where all that kind of stuff.
So is that goals-based, or is that making a value claim about human beings?
Right, the value claim about human beings is what we're getting at. Now, they can't claim that humans have value because then the question is, what is that based on? And then, for some reason, I have yet to hear a person give an impersonal basis and stick to it very well.
For me, it's going to be goals-based because the goal is to not get harmed by oncoming traffic and other dangers, right?
Okay, so then same question. Let's say that you take a goal base that just happens to prize your well-being, and then somebody doesn't prize their well-being. Is there
opposite opinion just as valid as yours, just because there's no tiebreaker objectively, morally between the two of you?
I don't know if I'm a moral anti-realist. I don't know if I'm a moral realist. I haven't made up my mind on that.
Okay. But when it comes to deciding what ought to be taught to people and what people ought to think, would you say that reality is prescriptive to our thoughts and we ought to think what is true and we ought not think what is false?
Yeah, I subscribe to rational empiricism. So my benchmark is going to be that generally it's wrong to believe things without sufficient corroborative evidence to warrant that belief.
But the empiricism itself didn't give the imperative. Empiricism might tell you what you can believe as like ontologically. It doesn't tell you that you ought to believe that which is true in and of itself. Like you didn't use empiricism to arrive at empiricism. You just presuppose empiricism. I remember that empiricism does not ground itself. Empiricism is a methodology, but methodologies have rationales that come before them that they need to ground themselves into before being employed upon the rest of the world.
Yeah, I made a presupposition based on the fact that it works.
Great, and we can agree that it works. The question is, do I ought to believe the truth? And do I have an actual obligation upon people to believe what is true and not believe what is false?
If you want it to work, yeah.
That's the if. Well, that's a goal base. I'm talking about, is there an obligation?
Yeah.
What base is that obligation?
The goal.
Isn't that
the goal.
The goal base is the obligation and the. Okay.
A working model that can successfully predict future data, that can explain a large body of data with a few arbitrary elements, that can found new fields of inquiry and break new ground. Yeah.
But that's purely descriptive. That's not an obligation. That might be descriptive of like how physics works or how your particular feelings might be satiated with a certain outcome, but that doesn't tell me I'm obligated. In fact, if I'm a different person, I have the opposite goal for myself and others, what is the value claim that would break the tie to say yours is right and mine is wrong?
I don't think, like I said, I don't know if I'm a moral realist or a moral anti-realist.
It's challenging. I think it's genuinely challenging because these people are just like everybody else. They're made in the image of God. They have a conscience. They have purpose. They have direction. They have value. They have an eternity in front of them, and they need to face it before Judgment Day comes. And, you know, somebody today who is an atheist friend of mine said, all this Philbro stuff isn't going to get people saved. That is very true. And the Philbro stuff also didn't convince people to leave God. That's something else that needs to be said out loud. The Philbro stuff, philosophy did not give people a reason to leave God. They were going to leave God regardless. And Seitan Bruggencate, even though he's been disgraced in recent years, he did bring up an interesting argument. Within the Bible, you are not going to be a true Christian if you leave, right? You've never been a true Christian if you leave, according to 1 John 2:19. They went out from us, that it be manifest that they are not of us. For if they were of us, they would have remained with us. But it is clear based on that verse that if they were of us, they would have stuck with us. So if you are in Christ, you will eventually return to Christ. Even if you have some kind of deviation for a bit, you will not ever permanently leave Christ. You will always come back. The Father will always discipline you to come back to him. There will always be repentance for those who are truly saved. And Hebrew, some people don't like that phraseology, but it is what it is. Hebrews chapter 12 says that you are not sons, but you are bastards if you don't actually get discipline from God for your sin. So if you believe you're a Christian and God's never disciplined you for your sin, it's a good basis for fear that maybe you were never a Christian in the first place. But in the meantime, it's also true that on a logical sense, if you say, I'm an atheist and I used to be a Christian, and then I left God because of the evidence, what you've told me is that God was never your authority in your life. You were. Your personal satisfaction with whatever you thought was evidence was the real thing you were asking for the entirety of your life. It was the real thing that held sway over your thoughts and your emotions. It was not whether or not God existed. It was not the God of the Bible. It was not Jesus Christ. It was you the entire time. And you just held to your traditions for some time because you grew up maybe in a religious framework or something like that. But if you have real questions about things that are confusing about God, about Christ, about the Bible, about theology, it means that you either go to God about those and have him resolve it for you, have faith that he has answers for those things, or you really turn to yourself and say, well, I'm just going to look for my own way of finding answers.
Probably lean towards anti-realist, so I'm going to say there is no tiebreaker. It's all subjective.
Got it. So if I wanted to teach the worst form of creationism possible, it wouldn't actually be wrong in comparison to teaching the best form of evolution.
It's wrong if you're going by rational empiricism.
It wouldn't,
which is what I would use. If I'm not obligated,
but if I'm not obligated to rational empiricism, it wouldn't matter.
If you're trying to train a scientist, that's definitely what you're going to want to train them with.
But if I'm not obligated to be rational or anything like that, and irrationality and rationality live on the same equal plane, and it just comes down to preferences.
Where in the world are you not obligated to do that?
That's my question: is do the obligations exist? And you just admitted it's all subjective. So the answer is no.
The obligations exist because we live in a world with other people.
Okay, so you're claiming that people have value. So what's the tiebreaker between people who say that people don't have actual value?
Like I said, there is no tiebreaker.
Right, which leads us back to square one, which is that neither are worse than the other in a world where no obligations actually exist and everything is preferences and goals.
One's worse than the other if you're going by rational empiricism, which is what
I don't have to if I'm not obligated to.
Everybody uses rational empiricism every moment of their life.
That's at best a descriptive
all
claim.
The time, except for when they want to make this argument.
That's at best a descriptive claim. I do believe that there are obligations to believe that.
The funny thing, too, is people only say they are relativistic if they want to make the argument of relativism to stay within the atheistic framework. The only time they don't have morals and the only time they don't have an obligation to believe which is real is when a theist, usually a Christian, asks them the unspeakable question, which is, ought I believe what is true and ought I eschew and get rid of that which is false? Ought I reject falsehood?
That which is true and not believe which is false. The question is, for those who don't believe in God, don't believe in a personal source for these oughts, you have to find an impersonal source to base these on.
It's ourselves.
Chapingro, thank you for the compliment. I'm actually not sure what you are referring to. I'm just, I'm not sure.
It's subjective.
Okay. Great. So if that's subjective, then it's not actually worse to teach the worst form of creationism in schools versus evolution.
Yeah, it doesn't correspond to reality, so it's bad for that child to have non-rational viewpoint.
But that's the thing. That's the thing in question of are we obligated to believe reality?
Bro, what if we're all just like brains in a vat?
When they have migrated from argumentation to a joke, that might be a good sign. Not always. Maybe you said something stupid and then you deserve to be joked about a little bit. But in this particular case, I'm saying, where's the obligation? And then they go, well, you must be high in order to ask if there's an obligation to believe reality. Really? So then I am not thinking according to the way my brain ought to be thinking in that case. Now, people can get tired of this terminology because that's what they do with tag is like, how do you know? Are you sure about that? All that kind of stuff. So they're used to that, but they're not used to this angle. And because both the atheist and the Christian agree that normativity exists, we have a fixed point by which if they claim like the younger atheist from that show earlier today, if they claim that I'm using circular reasoning, they've just admitted that I was right. They've just admitted that the Christian God is the basis of normativity. That's the problem. But because I don't start with God, at least in my argument, I start with normativity, they can't do that. It's only circular if I'm right. That's the trick.
You're not obligated, but if you don't, then you might end up in jail or something or dead. You're going to be making bad decisions.
These are all descriptor claims.
Bad is a value claim, and then being
No,
in
I
jail
mean,
or
from
dead would
your
be just.
perspective, you're going to make a bad decision when you say cars are invisible, so I can go out in the middle of the road and just lie down.
Yeah, but
You're
all that
making a
would just
bad
be
decision.
descriptive. All of that would just be descriptive of cause and effects in the physical world. That's not an obligation.
You have the only obligation you have is the one that you make for yourself.
The only obligation I have is the one that I make for myself. Does that apply to child support?
Right. So if I'm in a picket line and I say creationism in schools, and you're in a picket line opposite of me and you say evolution in schools, we're just making noises. We all have preferences, and none is actually better than the other.
Not if you have standards.
See, they have a value set. Everybody has a value set. This value set, they either used reason to arrive at or they didn't. If they didn't use reason, then Hitchens' razor applies. Hitchens' razor being said, that which can be presented without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. Same thing with Hume's guillotine. You cannot get an ought from an is. It's just these same things flipped out on them when you ask, ought I behave like a human being that has value and has purpose just like the rest of you? And then they can't tango with that. And so you get stuck with if, and normativity-ish. Oh, and no, that's not Zill. That's a guy named AC Slims. Yeah, no relationship to AC Slater from Saved by the Bell.
Which I think most people do.
Whose standards? Whose standards?
So, but are standards justified or unjustified, or is that a null category for standards?
Standards are justified if you've justified them.
So, kind of like, this reminds me of what Tyler said from the previous video, which was, yeah, everybody has their own justification, and everybody has their own logic, and everybody has their own morals, and everybody has their own reasons. Okay, but then why did you choose the ones you have unless you had reasons that were better than other people's reasons? And if they say feelings, then they have no argument against religion of any kind.
Okay.
So it's all relative again.
Back to the circle.
Always
Anyway,
was.
I got to go, but we can continue this another time. See you guys.
Bye.
Good try, dude.
Bye-bye. Get out.
Good try.
Oh.
He has no idea what happened.
And stay out. I'm getting BS all fired up out there, boy. He wants to go after Rex.
Oh boy.
Here's the problem, though. The problem, BS, is technically it's not precept because within the form of my argumentation, the argument does not start with God explicitly or even God of the Bible. It starts with normativity and it asks, what is the best explanation for normativity in the universe? And is it a personal or impersonal ground? I think that the impersonal grounds are vastly inferior to a personal ground explanation. And then we have that abductive case in between the transcendental. The transcendental is the normativity, which we have not, which if you want to involve rational discourse is inescapable. So you're in that framework from step one. Step two is the personal gives the best case for why normativity exists. And then step three is we'll call it a deductive-ish step in which I ask, can the opponents that use an impersonal standard produce the same explanatory ground that a personal standard would? And if they can't, and if they themselves need a personal standard by which to stand and oppose as opponents to a personal standard, then it is all but deductive. Very close, but it's much stronger and much more reasonable than an impersonal source for many reasons.
Uh-oh, a debate.
Well, it does make them uncomfortable.
He's
when he
gonna
does
lose
that.
it though. Oh.
That doesn't make me uncomfortable at all when he does that.
It's kind of like watching a dog chase his own tail.
The problem is I wasn't the dog chasing a tail. I was asking, where does this come from? And you chased your tail, and Big Bad Mama chased his tail, and saying, if you want this goal, is rationality real? If you want this goal, well, to even say if you want this goal, you have to use rationality in order to figure out a cause and effect structure, or in order to reason about somebody else's reason and even if it's an ideology that you don't agree with, you have to still use reason or do that. So just to say if all the time is not an escape hatch, and they have no idea what just happened. I think that's actually part of the problem of my argument, is that people take it for granted that you ought to believe that which is true and you ought not believe that which is false. That when you expose with the oughts, they're so numbed to what they're used to, they can't see the inherent problem with their view. And then to say, nice try. And he's going to do an ad hom where he's going to say, but you believe in, Noah's Ark and stuff like that.
The bottom line is he believes in Noah's Ark and the hyperspeciation after the flood. And it's like no amount of word salad is going to get around that.
Okay, he just made an absolute value claim. He just made an absolute truth claim, and he just forgot everything that was supposed to be learned from the exchange that he couldn't actually justify a standard. So he just says, well, no matter what, these things are true, which implies that if a thing is true, you ought to believe it. That's the lesson for today. And we've done this many times now. We've done this Moral Argument Marathon 1, Moral Argument Marathon Video 2, Video 3, Video 4, and now this one where I'm trying to involve the chat in an actual stream for my 200 subscribers belated birthday. Thank you guys for coming. I'm going to extend this for a little bit. If anybody wants to come up, I can just drop the link here in the chat and see if anybody wants to hang for a bit. Yeah, give me uno momento, and I can do that.
Oh, so that means I'm right because I don't believe that.
Right. That was silly, BBM. I mean,
it wasn't silly.
It was very silly.
It was because that's just an ad hom and it doesn't address the argument.
He wants to talk about ambiguous moral.
Okay, what I really believe is different than the reasons why we ought to dismiss what I'm saying. Those are two different things altogether.
Philosophical issues to avoid the fact that all the data is congruent with the evolutionary model.
Right, he wasn't talking about evolution.
Simos, how's it going? I thought you were going to sleep, Simos. You're muted. Simos, you're muted.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. I've just woken up.
Okay.
It's all right. It's all good.
Wait. I thought you said you were going to sleep.
Yeah, I did, but I just couldn't sleep. I was still awake. I had a cup of coffee, unfortunately, before I went to bed.
That's the perfect midnight snack, is a cup of coffee.
Yeah, tasted great, but there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway,
it is warm in here. By the way, I heard you guys got a heat wave out in the UK as well. Is that
oh
right?
Yeah, oh man. I mean, you're in Canada, aren't you? Is that right?
No, I'm in Chicagoland.
Oh, Chicago. That's not too far away. Yeah. Of course, Toronto gets really hot weather this time of year. So, and if it's a heat wave here, woo, it must have been a scorcher.
You know what's sad about Canada and Toronto in general is most of their really rich soil is in the Toronto area. So they built their city on rock and roll. Not really. They built their city on top of their richest agricultural source, which they, otherwise could have drawn from and had some kind of agricultural competition, because the rest of their soil out there is it's like skin to bone kind of rock to topsoil. It's just not very good.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I lived in Toronto for 4 years.
Oh, really?
Well, I went to school there. Grew up there. Yeah, I mean, thinking about it, yes, you're not wrong, actually. You're not wrong. It's certainly where we were in northern Toronto. It was, they built new houses. All the houses were newly built. In fact, they were still building houses on the street that we moved into. And then we had a swimming pool put in. And I remember thinking, is everything so rich here? It's like, this is an incredible country, because I'm used to like Bristol, where they have clay as soil. So you can imagine.
Is that where is Bristol? Is that Eastern or Western or?
That's Western England, yeah.
Western, okay.
West Coast, yeah.
Is it close to Dover, where they got all the?
No,
okay.
That's Dover's east. Yeah.
Oh, Dover's east. Oh, my bad. When
like
I think clay.
Wales. Very, very close.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. I thought Dover might have been on the Wales side, but I'm wrong. I don't know my UK. I am a pitiful excuse of an Anglophile because I claim to like really like. Okay, so for example,
Genesis. Yeah.
it's part of my set for a reason. You know,
Dum.
When the sun beats down and I lie on the bench, I can always hear them talk. And you know what this album is, right?
Marillion. Yeah, I've seen them as well. Seen both of those bands. Yeah.
And then Oh, I'm so okay. But did you see them with Fish?
Yeah. I saw them on their first tour. Yeah.
I am so stinking jealous, dude. Now, did you see Genesis with Peter Gabriel?
I not with Gabriel. No. I did see them Wembley Arena in the 80s.
Did you see them play? Oh no, I think Supper's Ready on their 82 tour was in New York, so you wouldn't have seen
that. No, definitely not. I saw them on the Invisible Touch tour.
Well, they did play. Oh well, they played. I've
heard them play some oldies and stuff. So no.
It's so sad because when you do a lot of reading about Genesis, you find out it was Tony and Mike who didn't want to do the old stuff, and Phil did, but Phil gets the most hate.
Well, yeah, they're a fantastic band. Let's put it that way. And it was a pleasure to see them. I mean, to get to see them, it was really cool. I'm a really huge Peter Gabriel fan. Like when he left Genesis, my first album was Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. That was my first Genesis album.
Mine too, actually.
Yeah, and I just loved that. Absolutely loved it.
I was going to say, did you see the Peter Gabriel Sting tour that they did a few years back?
I didn't know.
Okay.
I didn't. I've never seen Gabriel. I don't think. No, I've never seen Gabriel.
Oh, okay. Because if you look it up, there was a small section where Peter Gabriel, for a few dates on the tour, sang the opening line to "Dancing with the Moonlit Night," and it's like this is amazing. But that's all they did of it, of course. And then, sadly enough, I guess what must have happened is he refused to do it. And that's a theory. Well, it's a hypothesis. But and then Sting does it on other dates, and I'm like, why would I want to hear Sting do the opening notes for "Dancing with the Moonlit Night"? Like really? Anyway, just drop it. If it's not Peter, don't give it to me.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I loved. I really, really liked his first album after Lamb Lies Down as well. I just thought that was just amazing. And then for some reason, I know the reason. I went to see Black Sabbath, supported by Van Halen.
Oh, my dad saw that tour.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, amazing. A fucking amazing tour. And like I remember everybody going, "Oh, it's a support band," and leaving. And then basically I thought, oh, well, it's one of my first gigs, so I've got to stay and see the support band. And my brother came back halfway. He took me. My older brother took me, and I came back halfway through, and I just went, "This band's fucking amazing." And he went, "Oh, no, it's just a support band." He started turning around. I said, "No, just watch some of it." They started up a next song, and that's it. That was it. We were Van Halen fans forever.
I mean, that tone is a very enviable guitar tone. It is so good, and he just plays it so well. It's kind of like if you had Looney Tunes metal, that is Eddie Van Halen, where it's so expressive and wacky and all over the place. It's sad that he's gone. He did a lot of things that were very his own with guitar, for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he had a very unique feel. I mean, I remember going home and thinking, "Oh, I've got to play guitar." So I dug my acoustic guitar out, which I hadn't touched for years. I got it when I was very young. I got this old piece of shit acoustic guitar out and started trying to learn Van Halen riffs, or what I could remember, which turned out to be a Kinks riff.
True.
Which I had heard, and I went, "Oh yeah, I know this," right? And then realized that I couldn't play it like Eddie played it. And then 2 days later, my brother brought home the album because he was like, amazing. And I listened to that and went, "Oh wow!" And I worked out his secret from that. I think I was only 14, maybe something like that. And I worked out his secret, and his secret was that he could swing like the best big band you've ever heard in the world.
Oh,
that's his swing feel was just out of this fucking. He virtually doesn't. He hardly plays anything without swing feel. In fact, especially the later stuff.
You still have guitars?
Oh yeah, I became a musician. Yeah.
Do you have electrics?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna bring out my electric. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna.
Yeah, cool.
Pause. Entertain the fine folks at home from across the
Oh,
pond.
okay, sure. All right. Well, tag piece of shit argument. It's rubbish. Don't bother getting involved. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So yeah, make what you will of what you will, and yeah, music is the beauty of life. So if you open your ears to the world, then it will repay you a millionfold with some of the best emotions that you can feel. And apart from that, try and learn an instrument. If you're young, doesn't matter what instrument it is, try and learn an instrument. Even if it's the simplest thing in the world, it will still be very rewarding, and it'll open up your brain to much more. So I'd recommend everybody try to learn some kind of music, and try not to get too involved in AI music. Try and make your own. It's very, very rewarding for the brain. So yeah, I would recommend that. I learnt guitar first, but I remember I had frozen shoulders, and I thought, I know what I'll do. I couldn't move my shoulders, so I couldn't play guitar anymore. So I learnt recorder, and it was an amazing experience. Gave me a lot of insight into playing melody. Anyway, you go ahead. All right, G string slightly out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to tune that part. But oh my gosh,
that's a very heavy sound. It sounds like you've got a HM2 or something like that. HM3 bus pedal.
This is a Paul Reed Smith.
Oh, not the guitar. No, I meant the pedal.
This is a Boss Katana amp actually, so I use software. Okay. The Boss Katana amps are amazing.
They are. Yeah. Do you know, through my career, I used a Boss bass pedal.
Oh, Boss bass pedal?
For my guitar.
For bringing it down a couple octaves?
No, just for all of it. That was my only thing. It was a multi-effects pedal, bass pedal. And I used to get this. I can't remember what it was. But I tuned it for guitar. I specifically made the tones for guitar, and I used to get the most wicked Dave Gilmour sounds.
Ooh, Dave Gilmour.
Yeah.
Let's see. I do have a few tones on here. Let's see if
I'm jealous that you got a PRS. So.
Yeah, not cheap, but high quality for sure. This is a 35th anniversary with abalone inlays. So 24 frets. Coil splitting on the humbuckers, so it's kind of an all or nothing sort of thing. I wanted to make a tone that was somewhere between like 80s Police and then Eric Johnson and like 80s Rush, from like Distant Early Warning.
Oh, I love that album.
This is actually the tone I used for my outro, which I can't use on StreamYard because I'm using the free version, but Riverside crapped out on me today, which is why I'm using StreamYard. Cool. So that's how the outro usually goes for my show, is the... Anyway, it's a lot of fun. Maybe you want to bring out your guitar and show us?
I can't really plug it in because then everything goes to pot. But let me see. Let me get the camera here.
Sure.
I'll show you. I don't have my guitars. I don't have all my good guitars here, but I've got some guitars.
You got them in storage or something?
No, I gave them to my brother. Well, I didn't give them to my brother. I gave them.
Your brother stole them. Just admit it.
Yeah, no, I let him just go. I said, I got some. I gave up playing like about 10 years ago, really.
Oh, that's so sad.
And well, I mean, Well.
Oh, there they are. They're right there.
There's three of them there. Yeah, there's
they're
three
a
of them.
hand.
But I've got another 4 or 5. You know. But all my good ones are up with him. You know, apart from
Sorry.
apart from that one there, which is my
The
it's
Les
like
Paul?
it's like no the
the Strat.
Yeah, it's actually a Mustang, and it's like customized. I customized it. I put stacked humbucker in the neck, and it's got a humbucker in the bridge, a normal fender pickup in the middle, and it's scalloped, and it's got Shayla locking pickups, locking nuts on the. So you just pull the string through, tighten it down with a bolt, and that's it. And then you tune it up.
What's the best guitar for little hands? A ukulele.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend ukulele. Yeah, 100%.
Mandolin is tougher than guitar, ironically. Unless you get a 4-string mandolin.
Fucking hurts more. I know that, but
yeah.
But I know some really good mandolin players, to be fair.
Oh,
but I would say, yeah, ukulele. I learnt Under the Bridge on ukulele.
Oh,
okay. It's not as difficult as it sounds.
No,
when
I'm
you
sure
play
it's
it on
fine.
ukulele. It's hard on guitar, right? But you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Do I have? I'll just switch to a clean tone, I guess. Hold on. I can't play Under the Bridge, but we can all recognize the.
Oh yeah, the E major 7. Yeah.
Right. Dark Side wants to learn the violin. Well, you want to talk about tough? That's tough.
That's hard.
Not it's because it's fretless. It's good luck.
It's not even that. It's the bowing. I know a guy that used to play when he was younger. He was first violin for the Barcelona Symphony Orchestra, and guy's absolute fucking genius, musical genius. If you play him anything, he'll just be able to repeat it straight back to you. He's that kind of ear, you know what I mean? And he's just a fantastic musician. And I said to him, show me a couple of things on violin. And he goes, yeah, you won't be able to do anything. And I said, no, I've been playing guitar for 40 years, you know. I'm sure I'll be able to do something, you know. And his wife said, yeah, go on, just show him. And he said, okay, right, just like don't no fingering, just hold the violin and just bow like this. And he went and played a perfect note. Absolutely perfect, you know. And I went, oh yeah, okay, like this. And it just went and I was like, all right, it's a lot more difficult than you think it is. So
I borrowed a violin for a bit. Was I a pro? No, but I wasn't doing the thing with it as much either.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I know, I found it difficult, and he tried to tell me what to do, but I couldn't do it. But there you go. Anyway,
sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. That's okay. Yeah. So anyway, I haven't played for a long time, but I have been playing a little bit recently to try and get back into it. So I keep thinking, oh no, I'll just play a bit of this, mainly classical guitar, just to get my fingers going and get at least some reading going again. You know, figured it's less stress on the fingers than if I start playing rock and roll again. Or heavy metal or Eddie Van Halen stuff.
Did you? Are you into any other progressive rock? Because I like Big Train, and that album that came out recently was really good. Gosh, what was it called? Big Train. So they have
Rush.
You like Rush? Well, they're on tour. Are you going to see them?
I'm not, no, because I saw them twice.
Okay.
I saw them on Permanent Waves.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I also saw them on like a 90s, 92 or something. Alex was playing a PRS, and he had a quadraphonic setup on stage.
Quadraphonic.
Yeah, so he had four
different amp voices.
Yeah, 4 amps set in a square behind him. And he had like a synthesizer on his PRS, so he could play like the classical stuff, you know, the Villa Stranvico and all of that stuff. And they played all of their hits, and it was Oh, just an absolutely amazing. Because this is after they got off the power trio kind of groove. You know, that modern groove they went through with the synth stuff.
Oh, you mean like the mid to late '80s stuff, or what do you mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, late '80s, yeah. So, and it was just after that, and they just got, right, we're going back to our roots. So they literally played everything from Tom Sawyer, you know, just loads and loads of stuff. It was amazing.
Yeah. If you like
Okay.
sort of an album that has chill, but is also just kind of a thoughtful, reminiscent album with some bittersweetness to it, check out Big Big Train. Their lead singer, or their original lead singer, had died, I think, in a car accident at some point, and so the current lead singer was part of Premiata Fornaria Marconi. If you're familiar with them, they had
This is all modern music for me. I when I became a musician, I literally I started. I got signed when I was about 22, maybe 21, and I joined a funk band. Well, I joined a band that was a soul band, really, and then I became a funk. That turned into a funk band. So I just played funk music. So I literally just dropped all of my heavy metal stuff in order to concentrate on trying to play funk music as authentically as possibly as I could. So, and that's incidentally where I learned another Eddie Van Halen trick, which is he never used distortion pedals.
Yeah, I just plugged it right into the amp and just cranked the amp.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's how you get your Eddie Van Halen sound. You get an amp, a soak for your amp, and then you crank your amp. And we used to do it. My friend was really into Eddie Van Halen, so he did that trick, and we just cranked out all of the fucking thing, turned the amp up full. He had a double stack Marshall or whatever at the time, and yeah, boy oh boy, could he fucking play some Van Halen.
I bet. I mean, I had a guitar teacher like last year for a little bit. I couldn't really justify going to him a whole lot, but thank you, Sarah Good. Jesus loves you, indeed. Sarah Good, know you. Grumpelstiltskin. Anyway, he was a big Eddie Van Halen guy, and he was also Megadeth and other things. But his favorite solo was from Girl Gone Bad, the 1984 album, and there was a section in it that sounded like Alan Holdsworth. You're familiar with Alan Holdsworth, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I didn't know this, but Eddie Van Halen was a big Alan Holdsworth fan.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then I looked up and I saw pictures of Eddie talking to Alan. And let's just put it this way. The audience, if you saw an Eddie Van Halen, Alan Holdsworth ticket, you would have probably the most mixed audience you could have ever put together.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I'd heard of Eddie, I'd heard of Alan Holdsworth before I'd heard of Van Halen. So,
From UK, the band.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But yeah, just imagine you're like David Lee Roth trying to sing a line from Mental Medication.
Yeah, I often thought that I mean Dead of Night, well actually yeah, Nevermore as well. But like yeah, I don't know. It's amazing stuff to hear, and when you hear a player like that not playing their normal stuff, like UK was not the normal Alan Holdsworth stuff. But anyway.
Are you familiar with Guthrie Govan?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. He's
just making sure.
Yeah,
I know.
No, he's incredible.
It's got to be one of the best alive.
Never seen technique like that in my life. And I've seen McLaughlin, like John McLaughlin, maybe 15 times, something like that. Just a lot. I used to go and see him every year for ages, because when I was a teenager, I got into, had a lesson with Al Di Meola, who's one of the trio that McLaughlin played with. So
he's from Return to Forever.
Yes.
Incredible.
Right. Yeah. So I got a masterclass with him.
Crazy.
Yeah. It cost me an absolute fucking fortune. But he did teach me the mute technique and economy picking. So it was well worth it, right? Absolutely well worth it. Because then when I came across other bands like, when I came across like Yngwie Malmsteen, it was like falling home again, because he was using the same technique.
Well, actually, that brings me back, because you said your Strat, which is actually not what was it? Wasn't the Strat? It was what was it?
Mustang. It's actually a Mustang, but
The
yeah, it looks like
Mustang.
a Strat.
You said it was scalloped, and so immediately I
scalloped
thought,
it, yeah.
I think Ingve, because
Yeah, well, I actually did that because of Richie Blackmore, because I was into Deep Purple when I was like 12 or something. So
Okay.
and I knew he had a Strat. I bought another guitar recently, the one on the other end, which is just like a copy Strat. And the reason I bought it is because it had an ivory neck, and I thought, oh, I can scallop that. It was dirt cheap, right? But I can scallop that, and it will look just like Richie Blackmore's. But then some guy came round, like a physio came round, and he said, "Oh, my son really wants a guitar. He really wants a guitar." And I said to him, "Oh, look, okay, look, I'll try and get one, and you can buy that, and I'll make sure it's all right and it's top notch and everything." And he said, "Oh, yeah, all right." And then he came round and started trying to haggle with me, and I thought, "Oh, fuck, it's for his son." And then he turned up one day and said, "Yeah, look, I've promised you can have one." I hadn't bought this other one. And so I thought, oh, I'll go and buy another one. So I'll just give him this one. So I sold it to him dirt cheap. And, he was like, "Oh, that's amazing. Thanks so much." And then I got to the shop and they didn't have any more ivory neck ones. They only had rosewood. And I didn't even realize that I was buying a rosewood one at the time. Because they just took it out. I didn't even look at it. I just put it in the box and, I just went, "Yeah, I'll have to take another one of those. Thanks." Got it home and then opened it up and realized it had a rosewood neck on. I was so disappointed. I was like, "That's not Richie Blackmore's. I can't do that up as Richie Blackmore's guitar." But anyway, there you go.
Do you prefer rosewood or maple or ebony, or what do you like best?
Well, I like ebony. If I'm scalloping, it's ebony. But I have another scallop maple one, and I have a scallop rosewood. But I learnt on a Gibson Les Paul recording. That was my first guitar, my first electric.
Oh, by the way, for everybody who doesn't know, to scalp a fret, first of all, these lines here on the neck, these are frets. And to scallop it is to create a circular kind of divot by which you can finger deeper into it a little bit, and you can get more. What would you say? A little more feel into it, a little more involvement. What would you say?
Not really. You just don't touch the wood, so there's a bit more resonance. That's
okay, but can you bend it or glide the note a little bit more easier?
Difficult to say because and it just seems to me crisper. And then when you detune the B string a little bit, which some people do, right, to get that Eddie Van Halen sound, then that seems to make the chords sound better as you go up the neck. So there's a couple of reasons why you do it. Fantastic, Rex. Love it.
So much fun. I mean,
yeah, you make me want to pick up a guitar and start playing again. You really do. I'm going to try and do. One of the things I've promised myself is I'm going to try to do a tutorial on All Blues, the Miles Davis song. So that's my first little goal.
Was that what John Lennon parodied with Your Blues?
Oh, I don't know about that actually.
No, actually, you know what? I remember I think he was making fun of Clapton with that one.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably Clapton.
You brought up a Les Paul. I'm gonna bring out one of my Les Pauls. Actually, I just got back from the shop. Uno Momento.
Oh yeah, do yeah. Yeah, All Blues comes from an album called what's it? I can't remember the name. It's a very famous album by Miles Davis, 1959, and it's got some of the best players that have ever lived playing on it. And if you don't know, it's a jazz album, but it is incredibly accessible. So if you haven't heard it, everybody, Blue for You? No, it's not Blue for You. It's called. Oh dear. Something in blue. Kind of blue. There we go. Kind of blue. Because they're kind of blues tunes. But yeah.
Well, you're talking about Miles Davis. If you say
Miles
kind of blue,
Davis.
right?
Yeah, kind of blue. It's one of the songs on that.
So this is my Les Paul.
Let's
I
see
had
it.
arranged.
Oh, I love it.
So it's
Oh
gold and
my
black.
goodness.
I got hip shot tuners on it.
Oh wow, yeah.
So it's a more of a classical style tuner because I like that better. And then gold frets, gold covers. And unfortunately, it's still kind of ill because there's a bit of a crack in the back of the neck that 1 year is going to need to get fixed, but not this year, not when I need money. So
yeah.
But it's got the chunkiest tone.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, beautiful.
Oh, what's wrong? What's wrong?
Used to be string. Lovely.
God, that's the wrong one. So much fun. Everybody should take up guitar.
Well, yeah.
Maybe not Andy Dick, but everybody else should take up a guitar.
Maybe not guitar. Can be a bit of a bitch sometimes. I mean, I don't know. How long have you ever had tendonitis?
Maybe, but I'm not aware of it. Whatever injuries I have, I've just kind of got used to.
Yeah.
Rumpelstiltskin says play more.
For a little while.
I'm waiting for Simus to start tearing it up with that Les Paul of his.
I would get. I would go up and get one of my others. I bought an Aerosmith copy Les Paul, 1959 Les Paul.
Is it a Sunburst?
I haven't seen it for like 3 years. It was like £4,000 or something like that. £5,000.
Yeah, and that's expensive for an American, you know.
Yeah, well, they're just Les Pauls like that. They're thing, but it's is it? I mean, it is. Yeah, I think it is. I'm not sure it's Sunburst. It is. It is. Yeah.
Maybe it's Tobacco Burst.
Yeah, Tobacco Burst sounds more like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the lead guitarist one. It's the other guy.
Oh, the other guy.
Yeah, he plays a 59.
All right, check this out.
It's absolutely fucking awesome guitar. I mean, it really is something special. But once I realized, Les Pauls are a bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Contrived. You can quite easily, like I've spent £100 on a fake Les Paul, and I've got exactly the same sound out of it that I can get out of a 59 Les Paul. And then I realized, oh, right, okay. So there's no point in using Les Pauls on the stage. I may as well just use my little cheap £100 Les Paul and just make sure the EQ's right.
Well, here's the thing. I took an Epiphone. I got my Epiphone here. I put some Alnico 5 pickups in here. And I took out the ones that were supposed to be like more grungy, crunchy, metal, hyper gain type stuff. Mm-hmm. This guitar, for whatever reason, is a Les Paul that is now not muddy and has probably even better cleans than its distortion, if you can believe that. Like. You usually don't get that kind of clarity out of a Les Paul.
Yeah, individually the strings don't sound so good, but when you play them as chords or whatever. They sound great.
These are
You
8 and a
don't
halves
normally get
too,
that.
just because of the neck is a little broken, so they
Okay.
have to be like 8 and a halves, and they can't be low action, unfortunately.
Yeah, I also bought a Stevie Ray Vaughan signature, and that had gold pieces on it as well. And my God, did that guitar could sing! Especially as I put 10s on it just to be Stevie Ray Vaughan-esque,
I usually like I had 10s on the PRS, but
it's
that
good for
doesn't
fun. As soon as I
yeah.
start bending strings, that does my fingers in. So
Static Age Show, thank you very much.
anyway, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go. I can't. I will try and do something musical. I don't know whether we can do it on SteamYard or not. I think the lag is too much, but
it is. I've talked to that about to Grumpelstiltskin, who has an 8-string bass, and by 8-string, it's like 2 per note. So.
Oh right, yeah, I know the ones. Yeah, I know a bass player that has one of those as well.
What was the John Paul Jones bass?
What did he play? John Paul Jones.
Oh no, but John Paul Jones had an epic 8-string bass with like a two note. Like if you've seen the Wembley performances, that's the bass.
Okay, I've seen Led Zeppelin play. I mean, it wasn't. He was using a I don't know, precision or something like that. I thought.
You know what? Let me find it for you. Because I know they actually have it at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland.
Okay. Oh right, that would be why he wasn't using it.
It would be a contributing factor.
Yeah. I've seen some great fucking. I saw Jimmy Page playing with the Firm, which was Paul Rodgers on vocals, and the bass player I think he was playing a fretless bass. Palomino or something like that. I think his name was. What a fucking lineup! Oh my God, his backing band was so good. Unbelievable. And to see Jimmy, I mean, he must have been going through a clean patch because the solo he did was like a jazz solo. Oh wow. Okay. All right. Okay, so this is probably the same guy that made that bass. He's probably the same guy that made the Who's bass player. What's his name? John Entwistle's bass. I reckon.
Yeah, another beast. At least a lot of clarity on his bass. From today, even the GoPro video sensor got damaged or something, likely from a recently bulged battery. Oh, Grump, you have a 10-string? Okay, my bad.
Oh my word.
Yeah. Yeah. The bass player from one of the bands that the only band I guess I even have to be in. He had a 6-string, but he had the size to actually play it like very well. Like he was a big guy and he had big hands, so he could play it as if it was a guy playing a classical.
Yeah. Yeah, I could never get into this modern thing of 7-string guitars and stuff. I was like, nah, I've got 6 strings. I can do just about what I want with it. And if I don't, then I'll just get the bass player to play an octave higher. That'll be that for me. Yeah, that's great. Love it. I only recognise that because the pickups are the same. My bass player in my funk band knew or found out who the guy was that built John Entwistle's bass. He was such a big Who fan. He went down and bought one from him.
Is that where you get your name from, Simus Funk?
Kind of, yeah. I was known as Da Funk.
Bass player, or guitar player?
Yeah, I'm a guitar player. Yeah. I just used to make everything funky. After I studied Sly and the Family Stone. I went to see George Clinton and Bootsy Collins and all of these kind of bands. Got backstage, spoke to the guitar players. They gave me tips and stuff. And then after a couple of years of just practicing that, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I think I can do this. So again, I try to be authentic as I can, and I go to the people that I need to go to learn what I needed to learn. So I went to a jazz teacher. So when I started playing McLaughlin, to try and get some of the theory behind what McLaughlin was playing. I learnt alternate picking because that's what McLaughlin used. Just the same way as when I was playing Blackwell stuff. I learnt economy picking and then managed to get a lesson with Al Di Meola, who was an extreme version of it. So
yeah, Al Di Meola is insane.
I always just kind of went, right, let's find out who's doing this and how can I do it.
All right.
And then eventually it all turned into one, like Malmsteen. I've just got one technique now, and I swap easily between economy picking and alternate picking and string skipping and whatever else it is. I used to. Don't know if I do anymore.
Did you ever get into wah pedals much?
Yeah, a little bit. I originally had obviously a Dunlop. Then I found this is when I was getting into Zappa stuff mainly, and then I used it in the funk band for the first year, maybe 2 years when we became funk, and then I went into a studio and this guy had a different funk wah pedal. Can't remember the name of it, but it was a lot smoother, like a lot smoother.
Oh,
and it sounded really good. So I just went right. It was not as attacky. Didn't have the same kind of you stick it on and everything goes completely different. It was a lot smoother, and you could still hear a lot of right hand when you were playing. It wasn't all about the note. So I preferred that, and then I started using that. I begged him to sell it to me. So
yeah, I've never had that, but what I like about Boss Katanas is you can have a wah pedal.
That's just a preset, is it? That's fucking decent. That is decent. Good stuff. That is good. Yeah, some lovely picking there.
Thank you. And then you can also have a pitch bender.
That's good. That sounds like the digital whammy. That one does. Logitech.
It might be, but
First time I played with one of them, I couldn't put the guitar down for like 2 hours. I was like, "This is incredible! This is fucking amazing!"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wrong one.
Loved it.
Let's see if I can get. Now this one is the more of the Metallica sort of thing. Just like totally dry with the reverb, but you were probably not a metal guy as much. You're probably a little more delicate.
Oh no, I was a metal guy as well.
Oh really?
I saw Iron Maiden supporting Nazareth.
Oh okay. Oh, you just reminded me. You saw Black Sabbath in '78, right?
79, I think it was. Yeah.
79. Okay. I saw them in 2014, Tinley Park. So I did get to see him. The downside, no Bill Ward on that tour.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Like him and, oh, fucking hell, man. The three of them actually were like amazing. I saw them in 79 and I saw them 1980, December 1980, when Dio joined. And then I saw them in January 81 when they came back from the States. And then I saw them in 83, I think. And again in, anytime I could see Black Sabbath, it was an absolute treat. Because they like live, they were so special live that their sound was so unique. It was so organic, the sound that they had. They could play next to nothing on their instruments and it sounded incredible because they were playing as a real trio.
Yeah, they had presence and they had dynamics and they had synergy. What do you call it when something is emergent that is more than the sum of its parts? What do you call that?
Emergent, probably, but yeah.
I guess.
Emergent property, yeah. But I mean, they were different. You could listen to Tony Iommi play and go, oh yeah, he's pretty decent. You could listen to the bass player and go, oh yeah, no, he's got a great sound. Listen to the drummer and go, yeah, no, he's That's pretty damn good. Yeah, they were professional. You listen to them together, and they transformed into a super group. They're just like nothing you've heard, and nothing you've heard in your life. And like it wasn't like that the first time because Ozzy was singing in the '79 gig, and he was just pissed. He couldn't remember the lyrics. It was the band were just drugged up terribly, and it just didn't sound great. But as soon as you put Dio in there, right, they got their shit together. And like I'd seen Dio with Rainbow before, okay, but nothing like Sabbath.
Did you see Dio solo?
No, I
Okay.
never saw Dio solo. I saw I did see what's his name, the singer that Sammy Hagar solo, and then I saw him later on with Van Halen. So I was
What tours did you see him with Van Halen? Because
yeah, the one with for carnal for unlawful carnal knowledge.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which was a great tour to see him on because Eddie was top form. Unfortunately, I have to say this, right? But I think we might have been responsible for splitting up the band because
the UK.
Well, yeah, because like halfway through, Eddie and the rest of the band go off to do drugs, presumably, and they leave Sammy on stage, and straight away that's a bad move. And then he comes out, he goes, "I'm going to play you some songs." And that's so bad. We all went, "Oh dear, this is." I've seen Sammy Hagar live. Okay, that's not a good sign. And he comes out with an acoustic guitar, right? And we all go, "Oh my god!" And he starts singing some folky American thing, and everybody's going, "Fuck off, Eddie, fuck off, Eddie." And we literally shouted him off stage, and he just went, "Right, fuck you if you don't appreciate it," and he walked off, and we all just went, "Yay!" So yeah.
And then Eddie came out, right?
Well, Eddie finished doing his drugs and then hurried out and wasn't happy with us. He was not happy with us.
Well, what do you expect? The band's called Van Halen. If you wanted to just call it Van Hagar, just call it Van Hagar like everybody else does.
Yeah. We did that to a few people, I have to say. I mean, like I remember when Gary Moore stopped playing his heavy metal stuff and started playing the blues, and he played a Milton Keynes Bowl and headlining. I think it was Jethro Tull were headlining.
Ooh.
Yeah, Jethro Tull. And Gary Moore comes out second on and starts going, "Okay, I've changed my musical direction, guys," and starts playing some blues. And I was at the back, so it's nothing to do with me. But I saw probably 200 or 300 bottles of piss just arrive on stage within the first 3 minutes. And he just went, "Right, that hit me." Realised one of them hit him, and he got covered in piss, and he just walked off stage, which just gave us an extra 40 minutes with Jethro Tull. So everybody was well happy.
Talk about audience capture, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we're UK crowds are not, not friendly if you're not doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's why you guys have hooligans and we don't. Not nearly as much.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
One of my favorite jokes ever from the Norm Macdonald show was he had a sports show and he would make comedy off of that. And one of the things he talked about was the culmination of the end of the spelling bee tournament and how some kid spelled an obscure word correctly, and everybody was joyous and celebrating, and then the spelling bee hooligans hit the streets and the windows of the shops.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
So forever, if I ever want to smile, I just remember myself as spelling bee hooligans.
Yeah, I remember coming out of. I can't remember the gig. I can't remember which gig it was, but we came out of Hammersmith Odeon, which is like the place that all rock bands used to go and play.
Yes, that's where Marillion recorded their first tours, documented.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah, tour. Yeah. So if you check,
I might have been there then. I think they only did 2 nights as well, so
Oh, yeah, they played Grendel for the encore, right?
can't remember. Can't remember.
Go check it out because they have.
Yeah.
Oh
all right.
gosh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
find it for you and I'll send it to you
All right.
because it's a really good concert.
I'm gonna find you something as well, which I looked at just the other day, which was Foxtrot Live tour.
Oh, the Shepperton, right?
Oh, can't remember. No, I don't think that's it. I might have got it wrong. Let me just think I might be.
Yeah, so it's called Recital of the Script. I'm gonna send that to you. It's the full first tour concert, and I think the first encore song is Market Square Heroes, and then the last one is Grendel.
Okay. Just put it in the chat, and I'll check it out in a second.
Oh, I dropped it in your Discord, but I can put it in the chat too.
Here we go. Selling England by the Pound tour.
No, is this a bootleg or is this the B.S. Lewis is here to lighten the mood here? 200 subs to think I knew this guy before he was slightly more popular. Yeah, I think yeah, man. It's
okay. Let me do this.
I will celebrate any milestone, even if it comes in the form of a mile gallstone. Hi, BS. Missing Mod says, I got ignored. How'd you get ignored?
Because we were chatting about music, probably.
Oh, well, I mean, you know.
You put it there. Okay, I put it in private chat for you.
Yes. And yeah, I'm pretty sure this is from Shepperton. This was filmed very well.
No, this isn't Shepperton.
Oh, what is this?
This is Selling England by the Pound tour.
No, yeah, I get that, but...
Oh, right. Where is it? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah. Oh, no, this plays Harold the Barrel. Oh, shoot. Okay, this is audio, yeah. Is this from the date that you saw them? In 70? No.
No, I didn't see them till an Invisible Touch tour. It's the tour I saw them on.
Missing Mod says, Simos, was G-Man busy?
Ooh, don't get so jealous. Rex and I have been loving out here.
We're just reminiscing about music, especially music from his end of the world, because mine of the world, not so good. I think the UK is pretty much the king of music.
Certainly was when I was a kid. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. BS, can you see my G-Man comment? Yes. It's not funny now. Right. Now. Anyway.
Oh, many different concerts. This is from many different concerts. So someone's put it together.
Oh, it's a compilation.
Shepperton, East Bank, Burbank, Rome. So yeah, there you go. Audio used. London, Shepperton.
Yeah.
But yeah, have a quick look at this.
You want to share your screen?
No. I want to have a quick look at the Marillion, just see if I recognize what they're wearing or anything. Yep. This is the one. Yeah, that is the one I was at, definitely.
Does Rex know Dogman on my mind? I don't know. Probably not. Yeah, I probably need to get this tuned, but it is 8.5s. These are 8.5. These are not 10s, so they're going to be a little bit frail. in comparison. Anyway, much fun to be had all around. Thank all of you guys for coming out for the 200 some extravaganza. Okay, thanks, BS. Much necessariness. Yeah. Oh god, this is the end of the night where all the creepy crawlies come out and start filling the comment section.
Crawlies.
Yeah.
Still, I
But,
know what I like.
No, Doom. I don't even think I know that one. That was for Mod. All right. Yeah.
I will just say a couple of things. So there was a question you came in and asked somebody about 2-3 weeks ago, and I can't remember what it was, but I had the answer, and I kept thinking I must go and speak to Rex about that because everybody you were asking it to just couldn't answer it. I don't know why exactly because I can't remember what the question was by now.
Are you talking about ought we believe that which is true and is there an ought not that to believe that which is false? Is that one?
I don't know.
Yeah, if it's not that one, then I don't remember.
It was to do with that. It was to do with that, and I know now you've reminded me. The answer was that no, is the answer. We ought to not believe everything because it's true. In fact, there are definitely evolutionary advantages to believing things which are false.
That is not the question. That is a goal-based answer to a transcendental principle question. But that we already kind of covered that with what Ace had said in the previous thing. But I understand the framing of that question, but it's not answering the question that I'm asking in terms of like, do we, as for example, unfortunately, this has been a 3-hour, 17-minute stream, so I'm not prepared to go into it just now, especially saying as if you want to look back at this video and this stream, you can see a lot more of my argumentation, a lot more in my line of thought. But I see your reasoning for that answer. I recognize it, but I'm asking somewhat a different question. But I'm gonna be wrapping up pretty soon. It's gonna be almost 10 o'clock, and I got 2 jobs tomorrow. But Simos,
Thank
let
you
me
so
see.
much.
Yeah, let me. Why don't you give a parting word to all the people?
I don't need to do all of that. Just hello everybody, it's me. If you haven't subscribed to me, do. If you haven't and you don't care to, fine.
Can you play that Todd Rundgren song? Hello, it's me. Okay.
Hello.
3 hours is the warm up.
Out there.
Just not if you can hear me.
Yeah. Anyway, so.
No, wrong key, but go ahead.
That's fine. Look, anyway, thank you so much. It's been really nice to speak to you again. I've missed you, of course. And,
yeah, likewise.
Thank you for playing some guitar for me. I really appreciate that.
I'm looking forward to you playing guitar on YouTube as well at some point.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. I need to get back into doing it daily, and then you know what it's like if you don't. I always feel like if I don't know my scales or can't get through my scales properly, then I'm not ready to play for people because that's my warm up, you know.
So we need a Simos and Grumpfunkel. That's how it needs to go. Because Grump is the bassist, and then Simos can be the guitarist, and it'll be, cool. Hello, bassist, my old friend.
Yeah. I have an online bassist that I play with, so I'm not sure just yet. Although we haven't played for donkeys.
Denied, Grumple.
I don't think we've ever played. I've sent him. I sent him. He said, oh, "I'll play anything, me." So I sent him my most difficult song, and
you're just like, yeah. All right, the first riff.
No. Technically, it's not difficult for that. It's harmony-wise, it's really difficult.
Like vocals?
No, no, just the chords are just very difficult to play over. They don't make sense. Basically, there's multiple tonics. Basically.
Did you ever figure out how to do Mean Street?
I
don't know how to do it.
I did it accidentally once.
Oh, that has to feel simultaneously satisfying and depressing at the same time, because it's like, I can, but why can't I?
Well, the problem was I did it right. The first I went and then stopped, because that's what he does in his live show, right? And then I couldn't do it again. And I thought, well, if I just carried on, I could have played Mean Street. If I just carried on and gone, you know, I would have been fine. But no, not me. I have to do the live version and stop, you know.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Simos. And
thank you so
Missing
much.
Mod. Absolutely. Missing Mod, B.S. Lewis, Crumple Stiltskin, Darkside Deaconess, Jared, Doom Based. Anybody else I missed out there who's lurking in the chat, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe if you like what you see. I have my Ko-Fi in the, it's probably got to be set up in 2 or 3 days, but you can try it. It's pinned in the chat, as well as my Discord, which has debuted today in honor of the 200 sub milestone. I figure somebody's watching sometimes, so might as well, put that out there. But feel free to join. And Simos, can you plug your own channel for your own content real quick too?
Yeah, I'm not going to bother. It's fine. Everybody that's in the chat either knows me or they don't, and if they don't, it doesn't matter.
Everybody knows him or they don't. Sit down, shut up, don't ask questions. This is Simos Funk. Jared, thank you. Have a great night, Rex. Congrats again on 200. Yeah, if only I could learn how to talk. I can talk. We are here before Rex overtakes the Crucible. That would be some doing. Let me tell you. One guy, a microphone, some books, and a copy of Selling England by the Pound, and we're going to take on the Crucible. Wait, Simos Funk? Well, the one and only.
Isn't I know what I like on that album, Selling England?
I know what I like, and the cinema show, and
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We used to do a cover of that, mainly for the harmonies.
How'd that go?
You're very good, Rex. You're very good. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, how'd it go?
Yeah. That's it. Da-da-da,
Hold on.
Da-da-da.
Hold on. Oh, it's been too long. No, it's not that. It's been a while. But
yeah, that was brilliant. From just pulling it out of your brain, that's great.
There it is.
Yeah. Oh, I just thought about something else you might like then.
Yeah, some long ones. Anyway, it's been too long since I played those songs, but
okay. Okay, I've got something else for you as well here. Yeah, I'll put it in private chat again.
Sure. Or you can drop it in Discord. Let's see. Where's the...
I don't think I'm part of your Discord at the moment. Okay. I've got too many channels and shit. So.
All right.
Anyway, there you go.
Steve Hackett.
It's in private chat.
I saw Steve Hackett. I got to see him 2014.
Oh, wow.
I saw him 2014. It was a Genesis Revisited Tour 2. And he was there was a guy from a band called It Bites on there.
Oh, I know him as well.
And he sang the part of the ending of Supper's Ready, And yeah. Yeah.
He normally does that one as well. My brother went to see him. I didn't, but he played at the university near here.
Yeah. Cool,
Brother
cool.
didn't tell me and just went and came back and went, Steve Hackett's fucking amazing. I went,
Yeah.
oh, nice. Thanks for telling me. Yeah. I didn't know.
Right. All right. All you lovely people out there, thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Simos, for having a
Hello,
great reminiscing about UK music and music in general.
Hello, Missing Mod as well. And thank you for calling me cool.
All right, you guys.
Yes. Take care, everybody. Bye.
All right.